Come on in, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to Idaho Port Exploring the Alibi, presented by Salty Slueth Investigates. And I know I probably spelled that wrong again. Salty should be joining me here any second. Joe, your link is in the chat. That's the Dago signal. Whenever we have an emergency or something, I throw that up, and that's where we're at with it. So welcome, guys. Welcome. Come on in, everybody, if you will. Joe, I think, yeah, the link's in chat there. Salty, yours is in Discord, or you can use the one in the chat here. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do, my dear. And I think we are here. Here's Mr. Joe. Welcome, sir. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
All right, great. All right. Let's see. Raylene, welcome back to you. There's Miss Salty. Welcome back, ma'am.
Hello. I love Batman, and I never did like Superman, so I'm like, I like the bat signal. It's perfect.
I throw that little Dago signal up there whenever we have an issue or a problem. So.
When Salty goes down.
I'm here for you. That's what I did. Yep.
I'm definitely a DC Comics guy over a Marvel guy. I'll take.
Well,
Batman
I walk
first.
out of my room and I'm looking at my oldest son. And I'm like, my Wi-Fi went down again, and he smiles and he looks over at his 17-year-old brother, and he's playing Xbox Live. I'm like, told everybody to stay out that Wi-Fi. I'm like, whatever, it's okay, because I'm gonna go outside and sit and chill.
He's taking up that bandwidth.
Yeah. Well, what I have failed to do is hardwire my computer into the modem, right? Both my kids are like, you need to Ethernet cord, Mom. You need to do this. Like, well, you boys get your ass in here and fix it. Just fix me. We'll see if it works. If it may not. But anyway, it is
Welcome,
what it is.
everybody. Thank you for joining us. Jeff,
thank you guys for coming over.
Bobby. Come on in, guys. Get comfortable, guys. Please do me a big favor, though, if you will, tonight. When you leave here, if you can, once we're still said and done with everything, I want you to run over to Salty's channel and please like the video she put up, guys. Subscribe if you haven't, but please at least like it. She puts a lot of work into this stuff, and it's very important to me that you do that. If you will, please, I definitely appreciate that, okay? And leave a comment for her, too. Please do.
Thank you. Hey, Jeff H., you know what? I went to bed early the other night, and I dipped out of stream because I was extremely tired, but I listened on the replay, and I missed you on panel. I gotta say, I liked the conversation you and Dago were having, and I'm sorry I missed it. So shout out.
It was a good show. It was. I enjoyed having Jeff up, and I'm hoping we can do it again soon.
Yeah.
I always did I misspell Slueth, Salty, when I put that up there? I spelled it SLU. Yep, I sure did. Damn it. Anyhow, I'll fix it.
That's cool. It's cool. It's all good.
Come on in, everybody. Get to see, if you will. And do you remember exactly where we were on this, or were you talking?
It was well, Gray was starting his 408. You know,
that's right.
That's where he parked or whatever. Yeah.
All right there. All right. Here we go. Back where we was. Again, guys, share this out if you will, please. If you can, hit the like button, of course. And let's go. Make sure I'm in the right spot here.
Time after that, and then 420 it leaves at a high rate of speed.
All right.
On the next episode of Accomplice to Murder.
The call came in as a boy not breathing.
Paul was the person who had been carrying out a lot of weapon. And I will say that we have found an Elattra.
The Elantra, the white Elantra, perhaps the most crucial and important piece of evidence in this case in tracking down the suspected killer. They don't have the weapon, but they have this white Elantra. Now, the white Elantra is referenced in the arrest affidavit, and they connect it to the suspect, and it's referred to as the suspect vehicle in other parts of the affidavit. Let me read that to you because I think it's important. Videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1, the Elantra, starting at 3:29 a.m., ending at 4:20 a.m. So they have this window of time. Suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. 1122 King, that is the crime scene. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping, turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to...
Right there, every time I hear that or read it, because I've read it a million times,
Yeah.
the car attempts to turn around or park in front of the home. The
Right.
only way that we know they can tell what a car is doing right there is from 1112. But 1112 can't see in front of that home. So is
Right.
it just picking up headlights doing something in the road?
Very possible.
Or is there a camera we're unaware of that can see dead in front of that house? Because Olivia, the sister to Kaylee, also states we can see the girls come
At
home.
156, yes.
We can see the girls walk the dog. How? Did they walk past 1112 to the stop sign to gawk at Jack's house to see, is that dude home? We're calling him and he won't answer.
That's a good point.
Let's take the dog and walk down there and see what we can see. It's dark. It's in the middle of the damn night.
Well, when Rory went there, when we were doing that, then he went there on foot. He walked around all of the house, and then he walked, of course, up and down around the apartments, and he walked. There's a camera, he believed, from what we looked at, whether it was on or not, I don't know, but directly across from the front door of the house.
Which would be right there at the concrete steps that lead back to Taylor.
Right. Now, whether it was on or not, I don't know. We knew there was a camera next door. Right here, there's a camera
I've
on the
looked at so much footage trying to find proof there's a camera there.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I don't even know. I don't even think I've seen where I stopped watching him, and stuff. But I don't even know if I've seen the one where you guys said that you saw a camera. Firefly and shit, Dolphin and I, Dan, we have looked and looked and looked and looked and looked, and we've never seen a camera. We looked at the houses right across the street, the little blue ones that lead up to King and Queen right there. We don't. I don't know. I can't figure that out unless they see headlight reflections. But that's weird to me. So anyway, go ahead.
Absolutely.
To the intersection of Queen and King, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Suspect vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of King Road at approximately 420 at a high rate of speed. They are tracking this car via all this surveillance video. Now, there is some surveillance video that's circulating on the internet. This is a still frame from it. You look to the top of the frame, you see the little light there. What car is that? Whose car is that? And the question I have relative to that video is this his Elantra? Joining me to answer this question, host of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Gray Hughes is with us. Gray, thanks so much. I know that you have looked at this timeline. You have studied the evidence. You've studied the videos. Let me ask you the big question, first of all. Is this his Elantra, in your opinion?
I would say 100%.
And why do you say
go
that?
ahead.
Why do you say 100%?
Well, if you look at it like this white Elantra is moving around and it matches exactly what law enforcement says in the probable cause document. And then the vehicle parks at 408 near the 1122 King Road residence. And then it leaves at a high rate of speed at 420. Inside of that 12 minutes, all 4 of the victims were murdered. And left at the scene was a knife sheath that had Brian Koberger's DNA on it. So that DNA being on the knife sheath makes it absolutely certain in my mind that the white Elantra that was driving around, and by the way, missing a front license plate, as it drove by an A&W just before entering the area, it showed it was missing a front license plate. And in Pennsylvania, you don't need a front license plate, and his vehicle did not have one until he got new plates right after the murders. So there you go.
That's a huge fact.
Absolutely
That's a huge fact right there. So let's take a look at this video. Let's start at 3:31:02 a.m. Let's roll that video, and you tell me what you're seeing.
Well, just after it passed the A&W, it enters the area at around 3:30, then comes back around 500 Queen Road and does its first pass right there. It actually comes around and it goes right by 1122 King Road as it's making its pass around, and then it exits the area. And there might be some question now if it takes a right on Taylor Avenue or left, but it makes the same loop. But it might actually go right based on some audio evidence that's out there.
All right, let's move forward now. 3:38 and 53 seconds. What's happening now?
Well, at this point, it takes off, it leaves the area again, and then comes back and then enters for the second pass and then goes right back behind 500 Queen Road again, and then goes back and does the same thing. I think each time he's driving by, he's checking on the status of the house. Don't you think that? Like he's looking to see if the lights are off?
Absolutely. The one thing about that house, depending upon where you are on that road, you get a really good view of the home and you can see which.
Now, the one thing I do have to say about this here, as you go around that building, I know you're not familiar with some of this, Joe. As you go around, they see that car go around that building. When you're coming around down there at the end to circle back out again, you can look and see the back window, the back part of the house. So if you see movement by anybody in there, lights on or off, you can see the M in the window that would tell you whose bedroom that is. You're in a sense,
You're going to keep going. You're going to keep circling until.
Well, yeah, and the car comes in front of that apartment building there to the left, that where you see the headlights come out of.
right.
But it's so that when he comes back there at 408, that's when the car dips behind those apartments versus turning around and going back out the front. At
Right.
408, it comes back around, it dips behind those apartments, and you can literally, and on the way they're showing this video, I don't like, so we're going to review this Linda Lane stuff on our own. But
yeah.
you can see the lights just fade out. Like it doesn't parking lights and all that. It's like they turned off manually. Right. And then that car parks, and you can definitely see the whole back of that house, like Dago was saying. Lights, anything movement, anything going down, and it's really dark back there behind the apartments.
The problem with that is, Joe, too, is if you're right there, that's Maddie Mogan's bedroom. That's in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the initial target, possibly.
Well, yeah,
allegedly.
and we all know that Maddie's room stood out like a sore thumb. With the big pink M in the window, the pink cowboy boots.
Yep.
It was Maddie's room.
And it was right there.
Yeah.
So,
and it wasn't hid very well. And so, there's a lot of places back there on Walenta to creep around and look at people. There's a whole lot of space back there, sparse trees, depending on the time of year. You can walk down Walenta and see the back of King Road's house for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a split level house where the front of the house was on the bottom level, but the deck on the back was like at the third level, right?
Yeah.
The second, the open kitchen, all that second floor was right there level, and then the top floor was where the girls' bedrooms were. Well, 2 of the bedrooms, Maddie and Kaylee.
That back deck you see up above, that's her bedroom right there. So
and all that backs up. You can see it from Walenta Drive through the trees. Firefly and I have walked that map so many times, and I've looked at houses that you can walk. There's some backyards that
Mhm.
literally look down over the back of the Queen Road apartments, and you can
Right.
see. And I've always been curious to know if one of those even because it's elevated, right? If there was a camera on the back of one of those houses, because you got college kids wandering around, right?
Yes.
Dolphin and I explored that. You got college kids wandering around, cutting through here, cutting through there. Are you going to put a camera in the back? Maybe. So, but could it see down there? You know what I mean? Because it was a
Yeah.
fishbowl. So I don't
Yeah. And
know.
there's
It's just
also there's also a stairwell directly behind that house. There was another little parking area.
there
above
is. It goes
there.
to. There's a pull-off parking pad.
Yes.
Perfect to park and get out and
Yep.
take a walk. Or you
Mhm.
could go down the concrete stairs to the arbitrarium, also all the way down to Emma Bailey's parents' house.
Front door, right to her front door. That's right.
Or you could do some stargazing.
Sure.
Exactly.
You could do some people gazing too.
Well, we'll just call it stars. I mean, no, I'm just
Right, there you go. Jeff, thank you. Salty. I'm sure you can read it. Jeff says, feel free to use the video that he did where you put all 5 passes by the 13
yes,
in the lane. He did really good work on those
he
too.
did.
So.
Jeff, I don't know. Jeff, I feel your pain because you caught some of the same hell I did for your having personal opinions on this case that weren't met with open-mindedness in the past. I thoroughly enjoyed your work. Is it prove anything? No, sir. But it's very good work, and I, for one, appreciated it.
Amazing job clearing it up, slowing it down, making it right, making the sound better. All of that stuff. You did great.
And
stuff,
I felt like he never tried to tell me what kind of car that was either.
Nope. He never pushed his apart. He made statements and asked questions like all the rest of us did, and didn't attack anybody for it, and didn't go after anybody because they didn't agree or disagree with him. So
no, Bobby, it was both of the bedrooms backed up to the back of the house at different angles, but Maddie's definitely was at the back of that house. You could plainly see it.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't mean. I'm sorry if I misrepresented what I was stating, Bobby. I'm sorry. They were on the back there, and you could see through the both side of them.
Yeah, you could even see through Kaylee's if you were on the other side. But back there where that car comes behind the building and parks, you're seeing Maddie's room.
Yes.
And those sliders to the back to the kitchen.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, Jeff. But whatever Salty wants to do, we definitely will if we need to take advantage of that. So thank you very much for that, sir. Let's see, Joe. Okay, you get the feeling maybe Ellie was overwhelmed in this case. I'm like, yes, 100%. I do. I've said that for quite a while now. Who wouldn't be with a quadruple homicide? You know what I mean? That's just a lot, especially for a small college town. Blah blah blah. You don't.
Yeah. When it came out on the news, it was like, what? I looked at that house and I thought, that's a crowded looking area. That's my first thought. It was weird to me. The house looked weird. The yard looked weird. I had to get my bearings on because I'm from the South, I'm not from Idaho. I don't know what kind of neighborhoods they got. And then I realized, okay, it's a really populated college town. And then we all became very familiar with the terrain over there,
Yes.
But,
the whole area was strange looking. That whole fishbowl thing and all that too. I agree with that much as well. So already on we go.
Which lights are on in which rooms. And if you're familiar at all with who is in what room, you'll have a good idea when it's a time to go good night. 3:56, 45 seconds is the next piece of video here. What about this video?
Well, that one's interesting because he leaves for quite a bit longer. And there's actually some evidence that's come out recently that he was at that. There's a gas station footage that came out really early on at 3:45, and that likely is actually his vehicle driving quite a bit to the east.
Okay, hold on.
Came back.
All right, now those of us very familiar with this case, Dago, Firefly, Jeff, everybody else in chat, Wisdom, everybody that's here. Do you guys think when that car, because it was gone for a few minutes, is that the one they're claiming is over there on the gas station where the random lady come out and said, I took a screenshot of the video and here, well, we can't, you can't hold it. You can't tell what that car is. You can't even tell what it is. It's way worse than Linda Lane footage, in my opinion. It's a screenshot off a video. Now, because it's a screenshot from the video, do the cops have that video and is it better than that screenshot?
Probably. Well, it was taken through First of all, and Jeff made a good point, about when he was on panel the other night talking about it. Taking a picture as the car's going by, they're going to blur that way.
Exactly. It's going to blur.
So,
He's right. And that's why I was wondering, and Jeff, you know way more about that stuff than me. I feel like that because it was the screenshot, that's why it looked like that.
And it was also taken through a piece of plate glass on top of that too. So it's very hard. And I overlaid, I don't know how many cars over that, you guys, over the process of that. And I still couldn't match it up 100%. So, and like Jeff said, though, it can elongate. Now think about this too. The window pane, you know what glass does. Okay. We know that it changes the angle of different things. I can't think of the right word.
It has refractionary
refraction.
properties.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. But it refracts and stuff like that. So
there you go. Do you have, I'm not on my computer and I'm on the, I come out to go get my
can
photo.
pull it up. I can pull it up. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pull it
Thanks.
up. But anyway, he definitely made that point and then said,
Kimber, I'm jealous. Hush it right now, Kimber. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. That is no, Kimber, you enjoy that because it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And that's why I'm jealous. I'm up here in the countryside. Yes, ma'am. You go enjoy that.
You definitely deserve it. He tried to debunk at 3:45 the Troy gas station, but there's no time. There is a time to be seen at that gas station and for all 5 times on Linda Lane. Right. Absolutely. Do you want me to pull that up right now or do you want me to wait until this is
Firefly, damn it. Kimber stargazing is amazing. Oh, Kimber stargazing. I thought she said it. I looked down and glanced, thought it said Kimber stargazing is amazing.
we just talking about that too. Do you want me to pull that up now or do you want me to wait till we get through this?
We can wait. Yeah. I'm just saying, you know what I mean.
Yep. No problem.
And now he's making his third pass, and I think this is when he notices perhaps that the lights are off in Madison Mogan's room. I actually think Madison Mogan, I think she was the actual target in the room he was looking at when he was parked.
405.
So I think on each pass, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm going to move ahead to 405 in 19 seconds. So 405, 19 seconds. What's going on now?
Yeah, like at 404, it enters the area again, and at 405, it comes back in this area, and then it turns around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52. So right where you see it stop right there, it actually does a 3-point turn also. So it does 2 3-point turns here. So 405, it stops and turns around. Now, we don't know exactly why it's doing this. Did he notice something in the front? Because this is around the time that the Uber driver was in the area, right? So maybe he was checking to see what's going on with that. And then he drives, he stops, tries to turn around like you were saying. And then it takes off, and then it does a 3-point turn at Queen and King, probably right around like 407-ish, something like that. And then after it does the 3-point turn, it turns around and drives back again behind there. And I think you probably have that clip too, right?
Yeah, we have 407 and 21 seconds. Let's take a look at that clip.
Yeah, so here it comes around for the last time, and it's really going quick. And I think he's made up his mind now. He's going to do what he's going to do. He's got it, he's seen that the lights are off. He knows her lights are off, and he's going to go and he parks the car. So look what time it is right now. It's 4:07, 45 seconds. He's probably going to park at 4:08. Then he gets out of the car and he goes into the house. And I believe he killed them all probably within like a 6 or 7 minute period inside that house. Now, a lot of people think that's not possible, but I've actually made some videos where you literally sit and wait in each of the rooms, and it's really a long time, like 7 minutes. If you just sit there and look at a clock and you have somebody that's in a frenzy, it's easily done. And you've seen other cases that are even worse.
Absolutely.
In a shorter amount of time.
And we understand there had to be at least some level of panic or something going on, because the knife sheath is gone and is left at the scene, becomes, as you pointed out, the most crucial piece of evidence directly linking him to the crime scene. So this didn't go 100% perhaps the way that it was planned, because you would never plan to leave that behind. Now, as we looked at this video, the one thing that is clear, and we have about 20 seconds here, the one thing that is clear, This video is in one location, but they've got camera and surveillance video, prosecutors do, in several locations.
Yeah, 1112 King Road. So there's actually 1112 King Road. That's kitty corner there, has a great shot. I actually have a sample image from that house, and it's crystal clear. So when that car is coming around, they can tell it's an Elantra. So they were able to say it's an Elantra. There's a lot of people that say, oh, that's not an Elantra, but they've actually determined it was from that camera. And the one that goes behind there is a different camera. You can't really make it out great, but it fits exactly what the probable cause document said.
Gray Hughes investigates. Thanks.
Jeff, do you have that video as well? That 1112 video that Gray was just talking about.
Gray hasn't. That's not been leaked.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Where the hell is he getting this from?
He's going by what probable cause is telling him. Nobody has seen one. The only video we've seen is Linda Lane footage, and because it was leaked. We all know how it got leaked. Well, most of us know how it got leaked. 1112 has never been leaked.
He says he has a clip of that. I'm curious. Where the hell would you get that? That's crazy.
Well, I'm going to email him and ask him. Prove it.
Right.
Bring your receipt, Gray. Because if Gray Hughes had that, it would already been aired on his show.
I would have thought so too. Thank you.
So here's the other aspect to that. And all of these videos, we can all agree, are most likely the person that committed these horrific murders.
Yep.
But are they Brian Kohberger?
Right.
And none of these videos provide absolute proof beyond a reasonable doubt
that
it's him.
You can't, if they don't have him in the car,
they don't even have a license plate number.
No,
they don't even have a license plate
white sedan. It is suspect vehicle 1, white sedan. And it may be a white Elantra, but there's no way to know that's Brian Kohberger in that car as far as I can see.
No.
Now, do I believe that it matches what the PCA says as far as the parks and all that, doing the things?
Yeah.
I don't know who's in that car. But yeah, we don't know unless they've got better footage that we have not, because they do have cameras, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we've not seen. It's all under seal. So will they be able to display better imagery in court? We don't know that. We don't know.
I can't wait to find out.
That's the point right there, Fireplay. Exactly. 100%. I'm with you both. There's a 1330 Linda Lane footage and 1320 footage that has that's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that one. You can't, that dumpster footage though. I mean, I know that they allegedly, let me see if I remember this correctly, guys. So from the Linda Lane, apparently at one point you can see a sedan coming down Taylor Ave, right? But for everything I saw in that 1330 dumpster, I don't see this suspect one vehicle car over there at all. That's a different car.
It's
completely different. That's just somebody random coming and going.
Yeah, that was a white BMW. It was a 2-door. It was not a 4-door, I believe, if I remember right. Completely different vehicle.
And that camera footage is not even mentioned in the PCA. That 1330. So
not at all.
I know who put that out.
So do I.
And it came out right around the time Linda Lane was leaked.
Exactly the same time.
And it was a big distraction, and everybody got focused on the guy walking up to the dumpster too and throwing something in and da-da-da-da-da. Just like they did with Dylan and the dog jumping into the random vehicle that did not happen. So there's lots of things people saw going on these 2 separate things that were not happening. But nobody but Jeff and me and Firefly were over here watching that white sedan circle its prey. Carry on.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks so much. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.
When you say carry on, I need to hear some Kansas.
I know. Carry on my way. Don't get me started. I'll bust out the song.
That'll turn into karaoke night.
There'll be peace when we are done.
Lay your
weary head to rest. Yes.
Don't you cry no more.
That's a
Okay.
great song.
Very good song. I love my old school rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Be jamming out some Boston today.
Yep. There you go.
I'm Vinny Politan. As we continue our investigation into the Idaho student murders, as a former prosecutor, I'm always concerned about the lack of evidence. Jurors are demanding, and you've got to prove cases beyond any and all reasonable doubt. So you want as much evidence as possible. So what's happening here in the case of the Idaho student accused killer? It's not going to be the easiest case in the world. Here's more of the story. 4 students were brutally murdered in their home near the University of Idaho. Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana were great people with amazing futures that were taken away by a monster. The man accused of this horrific crime has denied doing it and has proclaimed his innocence. There's no eyewitness, there's no confession, and there is no direct evidence. It's a case that the prosecution has built on circumstantial evidence, which they believe is compelling. We'll take a closer look as we continue to investigate the Idaho student murders. And there are a lot of ways that you attempt to gather the evidence in an investigation and in a case as you try to prosecute someone and build those pieces so you can tell the story and explain to the jury exactly what happened. Well, search warrants are one of the ways that you gather those pieces of evidence. Take a look at the search warrant affidavit from this case. Investigators located a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to, it says Mogan's right side, but it's Maddie Mogan's right side. The sheath was later processed and had K-bar and USMC, United States Marine Corps, and an eagle globe and an anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. So in the search warrant, they say, yeah, we found a knife sheath, which brings me to my next question. And this is a very important question, which is, where's the knife? Where is the murder weapon? Because in a case where you don't have a murder weapon, what's issue 1 for the defense?
I got some
Ladies and
theories.
gentlemen, they don't even have a murder.
Yes, ma'am.
I just thinking out loud. I said I have theories.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Weapon. So let's bring in Court TV producer Cody Thomas joining us from Washington State tonight. Also with us, retired police commander, host of the Profiling Evil podcast, Mike King is here. Cody, let me begin with you. Where is the knife? Where could the knife possibly be?
Well, Vinny, the first part of that question, we have to remember that the drive from Moscow to Pullman is only about 15 to 20 minutes tops if you go directly to between each city. According to the probable cause affidavit, Kohberger's phone pings on a drive that's well over that, maybe about 45 to 50 minutes, an elongated road home. And I took that drive and I could probably pick out 100 different places you could hide a knife, especially after midnight. Take a look at this drive. So we are back here on the University of Idaho's campus here in Moscow, in the neighborhood of the King Road house where the crimes took place. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the drive that police believe Brian Kohberger took after he committed the crimes that night. Now, remember, he lives in Pullman, Washington, only about a 15 to 20 minute drive away from here in Moscow on SR 270. But his cell phone pings that night place him a little out of the way of what would have been a routine drive on SR 270. So what we're going to do now is go hit some of those key locations listed in the probable cause affidavit and see what that drive would have looked like that night. Now, according to police in that probable cause affidavit, they believe that Brian Kohberger exited the King Road neighborhood here at the intersection of Conestoga Street and Palouse River Drive. As you can see, a very wide open, very bare street. Now, remember, during the window of the murders, Brian Kohberger's phone did not ping on any local cell towers. Some police believe that he could have had it turned off, it could have been on airplane mode, but it was not pinging on any towers nonetheless. But around 4:48 a.m., It pinged going down this road, Highway 95, going towards Blaine, Idaho. Now, this is south of Moscow and about 32 to 35 minutes away from his apartment in Pullman, and also going in the
There you
opposite direction. Now, as we continue down...
Hang
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
Bobby, actually, that he misspoke. That wasn't from the search warrant. That was from the PCA. He was reading, and Dago, if help me remember here, but doesn't it say it was Bobby? You're right. It was found under the blankets, but also it was on the right side.
It was on the right side of her body under the comforter. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They just didn't put that part in the PCA that it was. I mean, they did. Yeah,
They did. He just, the guy reading it, he called it the search warrant.
Yeah,
he said it was a search warrant. He didn't read it all the way.
But
So
it was on the right side of her body, underneath her right thigh, unstuck, like shoved under the comforter.
Under the blanket, but to the right of Maddie. And we have we have the PCA we can pull up to refer to. But yes, it was on the viewed from the door. Am I correct? On the right side, under
from the door, looking in. The bed would have been here, like kind of to the left of the
doorway.
doorway.
We got pictures of it.
Yeah.
We'll bring up the visuals in a little while. But yeah,
so
go ahead, Joe.
Blaine is like south of Moscow.
Yes.
On US 95. So did he just like freak out, or maybe he had a pre-planned route, or he just like took off out of town due south? He's just like, I'm not going to head west back to where I live. I'm just going to head due south.
Okay. So when you leave, when you come from his apartment into Moscow, the route they claim he took, that's the normal route. You know, cameras everywhere, people, whatever. So when you leave,
270, 270, State Road 270 is the direct route from Pullman to Moscow.
And then the route he took, or the route the car took out of town, was the long way, all the way through the rural countryside.
Okay,
passing through the
south of Blaine and then Uniontown, Chambers.
All of that. And we have maps of all that we can show. I mean, we got because that's the way. There was two different route, one route in, one route out, and the route out took you the long way past an area, Johnson Bar campground area, snakes through Lewiston, back up, and then when you get past Lewiston, it's just nothing out there. It's all crazy.
And like Fireplace said, maybe avoiding cameras, maybe needed to cool down, maybe whatever,
Purposely went that way.
And it very well could be somewhere out through there is where that damn knife is. Truly, it very well could be.
So when this case first happened, and I started looking into it, I have a very good friend who is currently in school, criminal forensics. They work in a pretty good location, without giving much away about her. And so I know that there's a creator on YouTube that said that they were in school and they were handed this case to review. They weren't the only ones. Many.
I'm sure a lot have been.
Yeah. Many of them were asked to look at this case and review. So one of the first things I asked her, I said, well, when we realized the map, and we're like, that's a damn long drive. We right off the bat, look at all the places you could have done away with something.
Look around.
So I had Danger, my go-to research partner, deep dive this route for me. We both did it, but he did. He's amazing. Dago, he's amazing, and you know that. The stuff he can pull up.
Absolutely
He found culverts, little drainage ditches, little spots you could go off the road, little camp areas. I was like, dude, really? He's like, yeah. And he's like, unfortunately, but even a drain, like going down the road, you can literally pull off the road. No one's out there because it is so desolate out there at night, in the middle of the night. And there's little culverts. You throw anything you want to down there.
That's it right there. It takes literally 5 seconds to do that.
Not saying that's what happened. It's just a theory.
No, but I mean, the theory, the fact that there hasn't been a murder weapon found. Okay, for one. I mean, if you look right now, just look at where we're looking at, guys, left and right. Good God, you could put a single knife anywhere and never find it. You could pull up to one of these trees here and shove it down inside the base of a tree or something and walk away. You know what I mean? There's
Because
too many places.
yeah, and remember everybody kept saying there's like some missing time.
Uh-huh.
Was that was on the route home or this
Yeah.
route going out of
Oh,
town?
whatever, yeah. Right.
So if you took a few minutes to stop and do something, that would explain some timeage, right?
Absolutely.
That's why I wondered if when they found that shovel, because the search warrant returned from Pennsylvania says there was a shovel in the trunk of that car.
Did he stop and bury it? Right.
Yeah, I did. Oh, is there to test the soil? Was it just for snow shovel? You know what I mean? Because I could see that. I don't live up there, but I know it snows and stuff. Do y'all need snow shovels, right?
Oh yeah.
Is that something you have in your trunk? I don't know. I'm just saying I would test for soil on that thing.
Yeah, Joe, that's it. That's it right there.
See if it matched Johnson Bar Campground.
There's Blaine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and down there's and then go up. And now Wawawee is going to be you down just a little, right? Yeah, you can get. I've been all over the map. I know how to get there.
Me too. Yeah, I've been here too. I believe we all. There's a few of us that know this like in our sleep, but that's it about right there. So yeah, Joe, that's right. 53-minute. There is it. Yes, sir. There it is.
Yeah.
Pretty good for not knowing much, Mr. Schmo.
I'm a maps guy.
I
know.
guess so.
I love a good map. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I mapped this route according to the PCA right after I read it thoroughly. I was like, okay, here I go. And that's what I did.
Yeah, right. He was seen driving away from the house 420. There is a 10 to 15-minute time gap from when he pinged near Blaine. Well,
yeah.
You stop, you open the trunk, you get the shovel out, you dig yourself a little 2.5-foot hole real quick, drop it, bury it, and you're gone. There you go.
See that in Firefly, with me, that 10 to 15 minutes blows my Johnson Bar campground theory out of the water because it takes a minute to get back there to the campgrounds. And you remember how we deep dove that area to see possibilities, just exploring. And that would take too long, right? If you go by the times in the PCA. So whatever, if you're going to dump your quote unquote murder kit, that 10 to 15 minutes was, you know what I mean? Could it have been done? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could have put everything in a bag, all of it, and buried every bit of it. Yeah. I agree.
Everything went into a bag before it left that kitchen.
Or right outside that door, right? Or at the door, I mean. Yes, I agree. I do agree. Or a little somebody else
There's
made
there's that funky wall when you come in the sliding doors. There's a funky angle wall. And literally, if you're back there, no one sees you. You got to step around it. And Dylan's door is right there. So if he never saw her when she's peeking out and sees him, and he just bypasses her, the suspect, whoever that may be, bypasses her and gets into that kitchen, do they disrobe everything they had on and shove it into that backpack?
Right there. Yes. And Patsy, that's a hell of an idea. The hole could have been pre-dug as well. So all you'd have to do. That's a good. Why didn't I ever think of that? Jesus. Good point. Very good point.
We've speculated that was that or a pre-planned, because this is the way I look at it, and this is me saying, because I also do this with Richard Allen.
Yeah,
I have to do it with every case. I can't. There's no way around it for me. If I'm him and I've got specific training in specific areas, and I'm really freaking bright, because I don't doubt this guy is really, really smart. Above average smart, to the point where it's probably scary. So if everything's pre-planned, because it has to be, that hole is probably pre-dug. And you already know this. Yeah.
I have to agree. And somebody even referenced one of those like those totes that you can buy at Walmart or the dollar store with the lid, that he could have sat that there by the door, stepped into that and completely disrobed everything into that tub, dropped everything in there, put the lid on it, carried it out into his car and took off and took that out, buried that in his pre-dug hole, and so on and so forth.
I think it was just a bag on the back. You got on your,
either way, just saying.
If that receipt and all that not rumor, but okay.
Thank you, Sherry.
Say he did buy a Dickies coverall suit.
And
you got your other clothes under it.
Of course.
When
Yeah.
that comes off, all you got to get rid of now is that suit, your funky ass hat and mask, your knife sheath that you don't realize you've left yet because you're in a panic. You got to get the hell out of there. Shit just went sideways real quick.
Oh yeah.
And you don't know what the hell's going on now. And he's going. His adrenaline's got to be going. Whoever that is. You don't want to. You want less. You got to get off and get out of there with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you
Well,
got
like-
your beanie, you got your mask, you got your coveralls, and you got your knife.
And you
Time
got
to
your
get out of
glove-
here.
And your gloves.
And your
Yeah.
glove.
And I'll give you even my mother, because my mother followed this with me. She comes in and out
And
of
do
here
you
too.
practice that over and over until you get as fast as you can at it?
That's what she said. My mother said my dad used to bring home. They both worked at the hospital. My dad used to bring home bags. They're really large garbage bags. They would put like body parts and stuff in it from surgery because my dad worked in surgery. And it's tall. You if you step into this bag and pull it up and hold it up, it'll cover your whole body. Therefore, nothing splashes off of you anywhere. You undress inside this bag per se. This is my mother's idea, I should tell you. Step out of it, tie it up, walk away, and you're done. And I'm like, good Lord, that makes perfect sense to me because therefore you're not going to get anything anywhere else but in that bag, not even out the door. You know what I'm saying? It's still inside that room. So I mean, it's a good idea. It's a really good idea.
Aren't there rumors though that there was blood on his pillow in his dorm room back at Washington State?
There was a stain.
Mm-hmm.
The preliminary test on the scene, and they took those items, but we don't know the results of them.
Mm-mm.
We've never heard the results because everything's under seal with this case.
Yeah, there's nothing been there's a couple of
the things that Anne is asked to be unsealed have, but other than that, she wants some things sealed. She don't mind a couple of things being unsealed, but everything else, no. She wants it sealed as well. Both sides do. Anne's made that clear. So everything's sealed. So we're only seeing so much, and we don't know what the test results were. There was also a hair that could have possibly been, they don't know. Was it an animal hair? We don't even know the test. We don't know the results of any of that yet. But there wasn't a lot recovered from that apartment. Right, Dago? I've got the returns.
No,
I
there
can
wasn't
grab
at
them and
all.
send them over to you. But yeah, there was like the hair.
That's it.
Pillow, Firefly. Was it? There's something on the mattress, possibly. I can't remember, but
There was
fire
a little
stick.
stain on the mattress.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fire stick.
The fire stick from the TV. There was very little evidence taken from his apartment. All of it appeared to come out of the parents' house in Pennsylvania in the car.
Yeah, Dawn.
They
That's
took
right.
that car apart and shipped it back to Idaho in pieces.
Mm-hmm. And yes, Firefly. Dawn. She had those samples for 10 days and then turned them in. Yeah, and she had left stuff at that apartment for the prosecution as well. So yes. Absolutely.
And Anne's not really attacked the chain of custody on that. She's mentioned chain of custody in the past, but we'll see what she does in future filings and motions, getting pretrial stuff.
Right. No, I know what you mean, Bobby. I think they're just mentioning practicing the after when you're leaving, undressing, doing this, doing that type thing, not the actual.
Bobby, we're just speculating. We're not saying Brian Koberger did this. We have no clue. But somebody did, and if they did, could they have done it in this fashion? That's all we're doing is speculating.
Yep.
I promise you. Dago and I have a lot of very different views on this case, and that's fine because we have had some very good conversations because of that. And it helps keep us balanced. To me, it does. It helps keep me balanced.
I'm grateful that we have different views on it, and we can come together in the middle. But we definitely have had different conversations about different views, and it helps, in my opinion. So
yeah, and Firefly and I have as well. We have deep dove a lot of aspects for this case. She and I, her, and Dolphin have went to the mat on this case. And in fact, I spoke with Dolphin earlier, and I want to get them both on here to talk because we all three have different opinions and views.
That'd be awesome. Yes.
But we would deep dive it together and talk about it. And did it get heated a couple times? Maybe. But we were all friends. So,
like I always say, as long as you can
I love those girls.
Disagree, you shake hands and walk away at the end because it has nothing to do with any of us, folks. Remember that.
Right.
This is about you can disagree with somebody. You can disagree with somebody and not burn bridges and call them a bunch of names. And
yes. And I don't got to go live later and say I'm hot and bothered because somebody's over there talking about this case and they I'm not picking a side. Y'all can't make me.
Yep.
You
Nope.
cannot force me. And when you
Nope,
try to
nope.
force me, crowd goes right, I'm going left every time. Until
Welcome,
somebody
Chick
grabs
Fade.
me and pulls me back in.
And
Right.
there's a way to do it respectfully, and
Exactly. And
the
if you want to
true
go down
crime-
rabbit holes, shit, Dago knows, Firefly knows, we'll go down them rabbit holes together.
right,
You got to
right.
come up for air. You got to
I
come
had
up
to
for
get-
air.
I had to call a tow truck to get out of a couple holes. I promise you.
Yeah, we had to call in the freaking reinforcements a few times. Shit, took a week.
Yes. Yes, it happens. Welcome, Fair Maiden Wins. Good to see you as well.
Right.
So yeah.
But people in the true crime social media community think that if they take an opinion and they call other people names and they have a bunch of drama, they're going to get more clicks and likes. And
Yeah.
I'm the
Yes,
opposite. I'm the opposite. I'm like, no drama.
No.
No.
No
I can't.
drama,
I
thank
can't
you.
deal with it. I don't
No.
have
I've
it in my
been through
real
it.
life.
I've been through enough of it out here that I'm allergic to it now. So I run as soon as I see it. I run.
Well,
I
you're
just-
building up your immunity. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job. I just like talking true crime and aspects and possibilities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. On we go.
Highway 95 South. The probable cause affidavit says he goes through Blaine, Idaho, and then continues into Genesee, Idaho. That's where his phone was consistent with pinging off of the local towers. And you can see that this is wide open road, plenty of field on both sides of the road. And also to note, no cameras, no street lights, no nothing to pick anything up out here as far as cars going down the road. But I do see a couple cell towers on top of some of these hills as we continue to go. According to the probable cause affidavit, after passing through Genesee, Idaho, he then headed west towards Uniontown, Washington, before heading back up north to Pullman. And Uniontown is where we are arriving right now. And as you can see, still very barren out here. No surveillance cameras. But remember, this part of the investigation was not.
Oh my God, you guys! Just look at what you could put that stuff anywhere out here, and it will never be found. This is insane. I've never seen this actual like live drive on this. This is nuts. It's okay.
Relying on the surveillance per se just yet, but more so on his cell phone pings out in this area. And keep in mind, we are still over a half hour away of what should have been just a 15 to 20 minute drive from Moscow back to his apartment in Pullman. I just wanted to stop and show you guys a further lay of the land out here. We are headed from Genesee to Uniontown, Washington, where some of his phone pings were picking up on the way back to Pullman. Now, as you can see, this is a dirt gravel road. Not a single car, for as far as you can see, in either direction. And no surveillance cameras, no street lights, ample acres, massive expanses of land. Now, remember, we do not have a murder weapon in this case. We don't know where he ditched it, but out here among all this land could definitely be a possibility, especially around 4 a.m. Perhaps the murder weapon could be somewhere out here, along with some of those bloody clothes if he allegedly committed these crimes. We have now, after making that long loop of a drive, we've arrived back to Pullman, Washington on the Washington State University campus. We are now on Stadium Way. This is one of the main strips on campus. It's also one of the main roads mentioned in that probable cause affidavit. It's one of the roads where they say at many intersections, cameras picked up Koberger's white Elantra as he arrived back here after 5 a.m., somewhere around 5:25, 5:27 a.m. As you can see, it's very busy around here with students walking around on the sidewalks. And we're coming up on one of these intersections here now. So let's see if we see any cameras. And I see 1, 2, 3, I count 4 cameras at this one intersection on each of these traffic posts. Now another intersection right here. There's one camera right up ahead. You can see it standing vertically off of that post, and the one to the left also has a camera on it. So no doubt that some of these cameras, if not all, caught Koberger in that white Elantra after 5 a.m. I'm coming back from Moscow, Idaho. And here we are now, finally arriving back to those Steptoe Village University housing apartments where Brian Koberger, the alleged suspect in the Idaho student murders, this is where he lived at the.
You know, I'd have to wonder, you guys,
Mhm.
I was just thinking about, as he was saying that, those cameras that are there. If you're coming up on an intersection to go through, if these cameras are like I think they are, if they would catch face either in the driver's side window or through the windshield, possibly. Do you know what
So
I mean?
when you're in like Firefly, we looked at all these cameras at these intersections. So there are some that are facing forward, right? It would catch the front of the car windshield. I don't know if we've got any. Now, Doc Thrifty had a really good video of it one time and drove the route from
Yeah,
Poland to Moscow and
right.
pointed out. And Firefly, you and I viewed that one together. I think we all the cameras and where they were facing. Video's gone now because his channel's gone, but because of stupid shit. But yeah, so unfortunately, but I need to reach out to a friend of mine who in Firefly, you've seen this. He did his own through Google Earth, and it was really good. And I need to get the link back from him to view that. So I
That
don't
would
know,
be great.
Dago, if there's anything that can really see the front well enough to see who's in it.
Well, and I'd wonder if they have a video like that prosecution. That's a bomb right there, folks. That's
Well,
the
and
end.
you got to remember this at this point, that phone's back on and it was already pinging coming back into the country,
Right.
right there, coming back toward but the phone pings, according to the PCA, match up to the camera sightings
Yeah.
along the route. Do they prove that's his car? No, it just proves that matches where that white sedan's at each time. And I broke that PCA down, and you have to do it that way to line up your camera times and your
Right.
phone pings. And when you they match
Absolutely.
they match every step of the way.
And there are literally thousands of places he could have ditched anything along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you look at the south apex of that trip back through Uniontown, and the video we just watched mentioned Uniontown, that is just across the Washington state line coming down from Blaine and Genesee. There is a rest stop there. It's called a rest stop. It's a really small park. But there's a trash can there with a picnic table, and there are also restrooms there. And obviously, there are probably trash cans inside the restrooms. And obviously, it's a really small town. There's no cameras there. There's no cameras in Uniontown.
I'm sure that trash gets dumped into a dumpster at some point, which is taken out and taken to a dump site, and that's gone. Right. So you would never know. And or, like Patsy just said, the unidentified wells all along those areas. You could you just don't know. You know what I mean? Somebody could look that up just as much as she did.
I was about to say we got a smart person here if this is the perpetrator. And
Absolutely.
it's not hard people pull up maps with wells in them, is it? So
that's
you
what
know.
Firefly just said. Yeah, she looked up a map of all the abandoned wells, and there's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
If Firefly can do it, so can the perpetrator. And guess what?
Right?
It's right there. Absolutely. And nobody's going to look down a well.
And like I said, when Dan was doing it as well, he found all the little. And let me just shout out to Dan one more time because our boy, found me the professor from Purdue in the Delphi case before it was announced that they finally remembered who he was. He narrowed it down to 3 dudes, and he sent me these guys. He's like, it's going to be one of these 3. And damn it, he was on the list. I was like, dude, we nailed it. You nailed it. I'm just lucky you know you.
He's very good. Very, very good. Oh, yeah. Yep. Camps with the fire pit.
Yep. We were over there doing our deep dives on the campgrounds in the area because that was my first thought is where's the nearest campground? Because I got campgrounds all around me. I'm in State Forest. I'm in the country. I'm in the countryside, not on the beach tonight. I'm on the countryside. But yeah. So yeah, we did. We looked at okay, would you throw stuff in the river? It could be found. Would you burn it? Would you bury it? We looked at all the options.
Burn it and bury it.
You're not gonna take it home and put it in the dumpster unless you're an idiot.
And don't forget how smart this kid is. Very, very smart, guys. Very smart. Absolutely. He did.
Can't burn that knife though. You got to bury that thing.
Yeah, you had to take that apart or bury it.
Can you imagine though? Okay, when do you realize you don't have your sheath?
At the door when you're stripping down and trying to get everything in that bag.
I'm not even sure if it realized then.
Hmm. You're probably right because of the adrenaline rush and all the
Yeah.
nervousness. You wouldn't even think about
But
something
when you
like
go
that.
to put everything, do you even know?
Well,
Like
when
if
you're
it's all, go
when
ahead,
you're
Joe.
done when you're done with the murders and you go to put your knife away in the sheath and it's not there.
There's no sheath. Right. There you go.
Right. That's like immediately afterwards. Immediately.
Or, yeah, Joe. And here's another thing. I don't know if you knew this, Joe.
True. I mean, yeah. I mean, wait.
Fireflies, no, she's
Go
been
ahead.
here through this whole thing. But 9 a.m., he comes back to the scene, Joe.
Yeah.
He doesn't like stop and get out and go have breakfast, but he comes back past again. Like, was he contemplating going back in there to see, maybe
Did I
I
leave
can
it,
get
right?
this out? Yeah, exactly. Did he drive by to see if he dropped it somewhere, maybe? And thinking maybe it's out here in a parking lot or something. Who knows?
Does he not? Did he just go back and look? Do I go back in and see?
Right.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? If he's really, really unaware, those two roommates were in that house. And I don't know why you would be if you were watching people. But
Mhm.
maybe, I don't know. Pretend like he didn't know they was there. So the next morning, if you're sitting there, are you wondering, should I go back in there? I wouldn't. Fuck that.
Can you
You know,
imagine if he would have went back in there and found it, took it, and left again? And guess
oh
what?
shit, we wouldn't be here
Guess
now.
what? Guess what? Oh my God, yes.
But Bobby had another question. Let me see, where'd it go? There's
Right
no
here.
phone pings near the house because there was no phone service on that phone during that time.
Right.
We don't know if it was off, or they claim it could be off or in airplane mode. I couldn't tell you. But the sedan was there, but we didn't know. There's no proof it was him. Phone was not there
Mhm.
that we know of yet. We're all going to review some phone stuff in a little bit. But yeah,
I
we don't know.
I
But
gotta
as far
wonder
as the
though.
PCA, the phone pings that they allege belonged to his phone number,
Mhm.
according to search warrants, was his phone.
Right.
That phone does ping everywhere they say it does. And the white sedan they see matches the phone pings, except for right there near the house during the time, except for Linda Lane and 112 grainy footage.
Mhm. Yeah. Welcome, Steph. And you might be right, but I wonder what's thought. That's what I was gonna say, Paula. There were no police there at 9 a.m. And what if that was the case? What would have stopped him? Unless there were people standing around that maybe.
That's risky, man. That is
Yeah,
super risky to go back in that house at 9 a.m.
because he would have came back out with that DNA on him if he'd have went in there. Period.
What if somebody sees you coming in and going out? It's daylight now. It's not,
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And you're not going in with your mask.
And
you're not
that's it.
covered. Exactly. That
Yeah.
is super, super risky. Do you risk it? Are you beating yourself up because you got sloppy?
And
the only reason I think it got sloppy like that, because shit went down that wasn't supposed to be going down.
Yeah.
There were people that surprised him.
The other day when we were talking about this, it started making me wonder about that sheath, right? And I'm thinking maybe he heard somebody, not saw, but heard them downstairs moving around, going to get the DoorDash stuff, right? Possibly. This is just a thing. This just went through my head. I don't know why I've never thought of this before. Probably because I was so underexposed
DoorDash,
to other things, and it just made me go back into a hole. But I'm just saying, he heard something, and it startled him downstairs, and jumped up, and had to go see what that was real quick, because either that or he had to get the hell out
from up there on the top floor.
Yes.
No, because that was so noisy and quick up there. All right, look, Firefly and I.
No, you're missing what I'm saying. What I'm
What
saying
do you-
is
what do you mean?
what he was doing upstairs. He was doing. I think maybe he heard Xana or Ethan downstairs doing something, making
on
noise
the second
moving
floor.
around. Yes, and said, "Wait, what's that? What the hell?" And got up and moved real quick, not thinking of the sheath. And that could be where that got left there.
Okay, or he did what he did, and Haley startled him to the point where he.
Or
became enraged, and you do what you do, and you're gone. But as soon as you came down those stairs, and Firefly did a very informal armchair detective thing one night, we pretended, because we can go into that house, and we got the 3D model, we got the models, we go in there. So if you park that car 408. You give yourself to 409-ish. You go in that back door. You go straight up that top floor.
Yeah.
You do what you do to Maddie. Theorizing.
Mhm.
Kaylee startles everything. And you get down those stairs. When we came down, we gave ourselves time to do things. Then we're like, let's go downstairs. We're done. We go down to the bottom of those stairs. We literally got to the bottom. I turned and I said, what time is it? It was 4:12. And the first thing out of my mouth was TikTok. Xana was on TikTok at 4:12, but her DoorDash came at 4 a.m. Was she en route to or from the kitchen as he came down to the bottom of those stairs? Why didn't Dylan hear more than, don't worry, I'm here to help you, and cries and whimpers? Did you meet your fate right there at the bottom of them stairs? And then enters Ethan. I don't know. If that's the case, something went down in that living room, because we see the crime scene unit video through the window from the media who zoomed in, and they're in that living room and they're taking bio swabs from that floor and stuff. She's got it in her hand. We see them in there. We got to pull it together, Dago, to watch it again. But what went down in that living room? Is that where an attack started and it ended up into Xana's room because somebody ran that way where Ethan was at?
I think it's possible that another theory about why he forgot the sheath, and maybe things didn't go the way that he wanted them to, was because his adrenaline got the better of him.
Oh yeah.
When he's in that moment, his adrenaline could very easily have short-circuited his brain.
Exactly.
Like, he is definitely not thinking of everything that he has to do and should be doing to quote unquote commit the perfect crime. Because he had it all planned out. He's smarter than everybody else. But when you get in that moment and he's doing that thing and he's actually taking human lives and there's blood going everywhere, I mean, his adrenaline is through the roof.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why I was thinking, when you realized you left, one thing you should not have done, how mad you would have been at yourself.
Right.
Beating yourself. I mean, come on. Any regular person would have beat themselves up over something like that. But a really planned out, smart, that's probably really bothered him for a long, you know what I mean? Because if it wasn't for that sheath, would they ever have gotten back to him?
We wouldn't be here, like you said.
Well, they probably would have queried white Elantras at some point. Would it have come back to him? Would they have had a reason to look at him other than the bushy eyebrows? Like this, that's allegedly what happened, according to the police. You know, the query was done on the white Elantras. They find one at WSU. We all know the cops seen it. They run it. They come back. It's Brian Koberger. They look at the ID of the driver's license. Oh, he's got bushy eyebrows. Our witness only saw bushy eyebrows and this guy, this build. He happened to be the same build with bushy eyebrows. Now, did that come before the IGG? That's the question for Ann Taylor. That's why she continued to push the IGG stuff, because she needed to know, did you really query Elantras and look at that ID and start looking into my client right then? Or did you get turned on to my client because IGG led you to him? If that's the case, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Good
Not
point.
because his cousin could have done it or the uncle. You're mistaken. You know, no, well, because of that. That was her technicality, right? And she pretty much says that in the hearings if we just listen.
Right. And you know, Firefly, I thought about that before too, but the type of DNA that it is and exactly where it's at. We were talking earlier about how he probably rehearsed this multiple times and practiced this and stuff like that, right? I imagine that includes that knife sheath where you're sitting there practicing, okay, with that little snap button, popping that off quickly to do what you got to do in some senses. And maybe he did that once or twice without them gloves on, and that's all it took to get that little tiny bit of DNA up.
Yeah. And I think that he did also clean it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But there was that whatever DNA was on that thing, there was not a lot.
You would just never think that it would get up under that.
It was a very small,
Yes.
and they used the same. We know they used, what's it called? The MVAC. I just went over the other day because I wanted to know that same system the lady who developed it, the Bordeaux system, she's the first one to pull DNA off of bullets, unspent rounds. And that's why I was like, did they use this on that bullet in Delphi? Did they get DNA from that damn bullet? The way they were able to get it off that sheath. And everybody kept going over the DNA on the sheath. There's not enough there and all this stuff. With that system, if you deep dive it and you look into it and see what all it is capable of doing, that's how they were able to get that very tiny amount of DNA. And each time you test that DNA, it degrades it. And I know that because of a missing person case that I'm close to in my hometown. And I asked the mother, why can't they run that DNA? It's been 11 years. Because each time they run it through CODIS, they degrade that DNA sample, and there's not much there. So
Salty, isn't there some question also about the third party that the state sent the DNA to be tested?
Yeah.
It went to Orthram.
Okay.
So
and I thought the defense has a problem with that.
She did. She actually, there was like, wasn't there a hearing or no? There were filings, and we'll have to go back and review some of these.
There were
so
motions.
damn many. There were motions, but there was chatter early on in the case about it. But the things Ann brought up very early on, there was a Brady thing brought up on one of the officers. Yep. We don't know which one for sure. There were training records looked into. The standard stuff I would do as as the defense attorney. Are these people who investigated my client even capable of investigating my client? Let me see your records, that's kind of thing. So yeah, there was an issue in her eyes. Was it all because, if I'm not mistaken, they couldn't find DNA the first time around? And I know the state lab, Idaho State Lab, FBI did some stuff on it. So I got to review that, Joe, because I'm really, Firefly, you might remember more details than I do about it.
Yeah, that's something to make him come up at trial, because she was definitely questioning the fact that the state sent it to a third-party DNA testing lab, and I don't think I've heard anything about it since then.
Right.
No, and I don't know if they sent it to the third-party lab because of their capabilities to test. You know what I mean? Because I was deep diving some of the places the FBI uses for certain things. So I don't know really what.
Probably because they were trying to get it back they probably needed it back, in my opinion. That's what I came to the conclusion of, possibly. That they needed it back in such a quick time that they couldn't get it done that fast at the place they were supposed to get it. So they went to this place to try to get done quicker. That's my opinion.
Probably had, wherever it went, had the methods to be able to extract DNA, even the most minute particle of DNA.
Right.
Or cell, whatever, skin cell, whatever. It's probably why it went there. I have no clue though why it would. I know there are labs all over the country. Florida has some state labs here that law enforcement from around the country do send things to, right?
Right.
So it's not an uncommon thing that things get sent to certain labs like that. So she's probably going to make sure everything's on the up and up at these labs. You know what I mean? Wouldn't you? What is their record? What is their background? All the things. So maybe that's what she was doing, and maybe she was satisfied. And if she wasn't, what's she holding back on and waiting for pretrial stuff?
Right.
Because if you want to get that DNA thrown out and that sheath thrown out, you got to do everything you can to make that happen. And
absolutely. So that's like
right.
Yeah.
That's a hinge pin.
Yes.
Right there. That DNA evidence is a hinge pin.
Yeah, and how you can't just say, I don't like it, I want it out. I'm not sure how it got there, I want it out. It's transfer, grocery store. That's not enough. Because in the one case we do know of where transfer DNA was proven, it was they showed you how it happened. So if we're going to say, and it wasn't a grocery store or cereal box transfer, it was way deeper than that. So you're going to have to show the same thing here, right? If that occurred.
Right. And even if she doesn't get it thrown out, if she can bring up her own expert witness to contest it, then you have expert witness versus expert witness, and you put some doubt in the jury's mind.
Exactly. All right. You can go ahead, Dago.
Yes, ma'am.
time in November of 2022. What was supposed to be a 15 to 20-minute drive turned into about a 50-minute to an hour-long drive on all that barren land, that wide-open road space. We know the basis of this investigation was a combination of his cell phone pings along with surveillance footage of that white Elantra, but it all ultimately allowed for police to lock Ryan Koberger down as the primary suspect back here at the Steptoe Village Apartments, where it all began on Washington State University's campus. Now, of course, Vinny, there's no official definitive answer outlined as to why he took the long way home. Perhaps it may coincide with his stargazing alibi, but as for now, we'll have to wait and see.
Mike King, where's the knife? Where's that knife?
Cody did a great job of describing how vast that countryside is there, Vinny. And you know what? I suspect that knife wasn't just disposed of in a really erratic manner once Koberger, if in fact he's responsible for this, realized that he left the sheath behind. Because that all of a sudden upped the ante on the value of that knife if they were ever to recover it. You can't even find a body in that many square hundreds of miles out there, let alone finding a small knife that probably now is under dirt. It's probably been turned over by a farmer somewhere in a field, and we may never see that thing.
The other part, the clothing, Mike, what are your thoughts there? Like the knife, a little bit smaller, clothing, a little bit more difficult to get rid of potentially. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think what we see, if this is the responsible guy, we see that there was a great amount of organization before the homicides occurred. And so, and what generally happens with an inexperienced criminal is that as soon as they break out into the crime spree that they're going through, everything that they planned for goes out the window and they become disorganized. But the idea that he may have pre-configured how he was going to dispose of the clothing. We know there were clothing changes, that it's pretty reasonable, I think, to just theorize that he already had a dumping spot figured out for that, whether it was a dumpster or multiple dumpsters, because we know he's gone east of the residence, he's living west of the residence, he's traveling through all kinds of countryside to the south. And like we've seen in other homicides, Vinny, some suspects in the cases throw pieces out in different locations to try to make it a lot harder. And as they spread that out, it's less noticeable to somebody passing by. A little piece of sock in one garbage can and a sock 5 miles away in another could completely throw people off and never raise this thing to the level of suspicion.
All right. And again, this is some of the evidence that isn't there that worries me as a former prosecutor. Mike King staying with us, Cody Thomas staying with us there. Next question. What was he doing after sunrise?
Surveillance camera inside the grocery store shows Koberger going inside and buying some unknown items before coming back out and leaving.
One of the most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has a new home on America's original true crime obsession.
The Latah County coroners conducted autopsies, and detectives have been provided with the results of those autopsies. We know that the autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims, determined the cause and manner of death as a homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims who were asleep during the attack.
Thank you, Joe. 3 ponds that look like good knife dumping spots.
And, you know, he made a good point. You up the ante, because if you don't want that knife found.
No, right, of course.
I mean, and that's 3 of thousands of spots, but that is very near where his phone service turned back on and started pinging again.
That takes a matter of seconds to just pull off the side of the road and think you're gone.
Yep. If you zoom out, you can see Moscow is due north of there on 95.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it, Dago? I mean, and then you go back to still, you know, the cameras around the house that we know of are grainy, but there's just still circumstantial, right? It's a lot. Circumstantially, he looks guilty, but
Yes, ma'am.
when they prove it circumstantially, Casey Anthony looked guilty.
Absolutely.
They
Yes.
couldn't prove it. They could not physically tie her to the scene
Right.
or to the body. And that was the kicker. And not only that, but her attorney brought in reasonable doubt. And in Florida, those jurors were very heavily instructed beyond reasonable. And reasonable is a strong word. Everybody has a different idea of what's reasonable. So
Right.
that's why you got some multiple jurors. But you have to remember that with under the law, people are going to feel their way even when this case ends. No matter what the outcome, people are going to be dug in and have their way. Watching the law for as long as I have, I promise you, my gut, I knew halfway through that girl's trial she was going to walk a free woman, and I hated it.
Yep.
It was weird because Jose Baez did his job. Prosecution failed miserably, and it was sad. And she walked.
Yep.
So this right now appears to be. Is it the same thing?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I mean,
I have no clue. But
we don't know yet. But at some point, when it comes to that point, if that's the case, we can all go, there it is again. It's a sad situation for 100%.
But in this case, they have DNA on a sheath that matches the suspect next to the body.
Yeah.
Casey's DNA, there was nothing like that except for a funky smell in her car and some Google searches.
Yeah, this is two different scenarios, but still.
Yeah, the evidence is different. You know what I mean? But
yes.
So it makes you wonder. Like, we've known forever this DNA sheath existed.
Right.
We don't see that in Richard Allen's PCA. We got DNA off that bullet we found. Huh. Things that make you go, all right.
Absolutely.
But the evidence that we know about from the PCAs are going to be what's going to be tested in pretrial and trial.
Exactly.
So,
that's all they got, dude, is digital. Besides that sheath and that DNA, all they have is the phone pings and these car camera footage.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. So if you're already wanting to get a job in forensic data and all this other stuff you're studying, did you know that already going in? I can beat this shit. But you can't beat, but he couldn't beat that sheath. That was a total accident. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they do go against this evidence they do have.
Yeah. The sheath DNA arguments will be crucial for the jury when we get to that point.
Well, she said in one of her motions, 3-4 motions back, when they were trying to lay out the timeline and everything for the trial and get ready for pre-trials, and they were setting aside Thursdays to conduct their pre-trial hearings and stuff, she said, because our motions will be coming. Our motion to suppress the sheath will be coming. Oh, like, I'm listening, Ann. I'm waiting.
Yeah, definitely.
It ain't come yet, but I'm waiting.
Bobby says if he disposed of the knife during that time period, did they say he could have pulled off the road?
There is no way to run a metal detector over all the hundreds and thousands of acres where he could
even
have
if they
disposed
did,
of that
Bobby.
knife.
Even if they did, I imagine he would have wrapped that within everything else, possibly completely. And you're not gonna. It's just not gonna happen. That's too much area too.
I use a metal detector weekly, and you pull up all kinds of crap. You pull up hubcaps.
And to be clear, law enforcement never said he pulled off the road.
No, but
our entire people who have deep dove the documents realize, and even Gray, there's like a 10 to 15 minute window no one can account for. We don't know what was happening during that time frame. So, but because a lot gets said about law enforcement in this case, but I'm going to have their back on this one. They haven't stated anywhere this guy pulled over on the side of the road.
Right. He just pinged and Blaine. Yeah, he
just
pinged.
A speculation based on the time loss.
But and just even that one picture of those 3 ponds would present hours and hours of fruitless labor. Like we saw $1 million in the Richard Allen case, and Keegan Klein looking in the Wabash River. They spent $1 million looking for that discarded
in 5 weeks.
Gun. Yes,
and didn't find anything.
No, So
5 weeks and $1 million looking for a cell phone and a knife
in a very specific location where the bridge crossed over, where the Hoosier Heartland Highway crosses over the Wabash River. So we're talking about miles and miles and miles of highway and ditches and ponds.
There's no way. There's just no way. It would take them 5 years to cover that area completely, and still wouldn't cover all of it. So
no. And they would dig up. They'd have a whole bunch of cool stuff to show that they dug up, but probably not
farmers.
Right.
Absolutely. Fireplace says, I expect the motion will come shortly after the discovery. Probably. Absolutely.
Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times.
So difficult to look at those photos of those young people taken at such an early age. It's incredibly sad, incredibly tragic. And when the story first broke, one of the unusual facts that came out early on is when 911 was first called in this case, because we know the murders are taking place like 4 o'clock in the morning. So when are they first noticed? I want you to take a listen to Captain Roger Lanier here from the Moscow Police Department and talking about the first call to police.
On the morning of November 13th at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call was placed to the Whitcomb Dispatch Center reporting an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence and was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates. Moscow Police Department officers responded and located 4 victims, 2 on the 2nd floor and 2 on the 3rd floor.
So this is almost at noon before 911 is called. And there was a very strange fact in all of this. But now you look at the timeline. Okay, so we know the investigation begins at noon, but that brings me to my next question, which is about the accused killer. And what was he doing after sunrise? Where was he? Where did he go? What did he do? Let's bring back in Court TV producer Cody Thomas, who is in Pullman, Washington. So what did he do after sunrise, Cody?
Well, Vinny, he made a couple of stops later on that afternoon into the evening, the same day of the killings. He was even caught on camera at one of the locations in person. So there's no doubt about that he was there. But the thing about those locations is that they were almost an hour from Pullman and Moscow. Take a look. So we're back here at the King Road location. You can see it right here behind me where those murders took place on November 13th, 2022. Now, what's interesting about that day, of course, you know the murders happened between 4 and 5 a.m., but around 9:36 a.m., a few hours after the murders, Brian Kohberger's phone pings in the area yet again. Now, did he return to the crime scene? We don't know. That has yet to come out. We'll learn those details, of course, during the trial. But he also went to a few more out-of-the-way places of his apartment and this location about 45 minutes away. So we're going to go check some of those places out right now that he went that same day, later that afternoon, after 12:30, going into the evening around 5 p.m. So let's go check some of those places out. Now, according to the probable cause affidavit, surveillance video from this U.S. chef store here in Clarkston, Washington, picked up the white Elantra passing by this Kate's Cup of Joe espresso stand. It's also consistent with where his phone was pinging here in Clarkston at the time. It happened around 12:36, the same day of the murders. And he also showed up at another spot just up the road, also here in Clarkston, which is about 45 minutes away from his apartment and about 50 minutes away from the location on King Road where the murders took place. Around 12:46, the same day of the killings, Kohberger's phone pings right here also in Clarkston near this Albertsons grocery store. And not only does his phone ping, surveillance camera inside the grocery store shows Kohberger going inside and buying some unknown items before coming back out and leaving. Again, this is in Clarkston, Washington, about 45 minutes away from Pullman, where Koberger lives, at this Albertsons grocery store. The last stop that Koberger's phone pings.
I'd really like to know what he bought at Albertsons. Why would you drive an hour away almost to pick? And the only reason why I want to know what he bought there was because I would imagine it would have something that could possibly, it would be something that could possibly be incriminating, which is why he drove an hour away to do it.
Mm-hmm. They know what he bought
on the road. You know what I mean?
They know what he got because if they
Oh,
they know he was there, and then this is the one that they do see him getting out of this white
on
Elantra.
camera. Right.
They see the 2015 white Elantra.
Yep. And
They see Brian Koberger get out of it. They see him go into the store. You can bet a camera in that store is on that cash register, and they know exactly what he bought.
That's what I'm really
And it's
curious
sealed,
of.
whatever. Yeah, it's sealed, whatever it is. But it is now. Was he just so full of adrenaline still and not sleeping and whatever that just another drive? I'm gonna go to that grocery store, or was it purposely done? And what did he buy? That would make me.
That's why I think it's something possibly incriminating, because he did drive almost an hour away to go buy whatever it was. That doesn't make sense to me. Because it would have figured out, it would have been in the vehicle. Unless that drive was maybe when he got rid of evidence, possibly.
Or went and cleaned the car real good.
Yeah, right.
One of your preliminary car cleans, I should say.
Maybe that's what he bought at Albertsons was cleaners, you know?
Yeah, they're
that confirms his habit to drive south of Pullman and south of Moscow.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. Was it exactly. Was it, because Ann's talks about establishing his patterns.
Yes, she does. That's very true.
Yeah. So apparently he'd like to drive south of Pullman and south of Moscow, and Uniontown is south of that, Genesee, Blaine, all those areas that are mentioned in the PCA.
And it wouldn't appear to be unusual, would it?
No.
If that was the only 2 times you did it, though, what are they? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Flickery, yes, they did. They just said that they had him on camera in that store.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all sealed. We're not going to hear about any of that until the trial, if even then. So it doesn't make sense because it was.
So there's a grocery outlet and a Safeway near Washington State, near Pullman, but there's not an Albertsons. So,
Roni, we are using our brains because we understand that we don't know if he's guilty or innocent.
We don't know yet, right?
Do you know for sure?
Anybody?
I'm just curious.
Anybody that does know without a trial, I want to shake your hand because you're.
Yeah, we're not saying this guy did it, hun. We're really not. We're just speculating if he could have, according to what they're telling us happened. So we're just trying to figure that. We're just,
none of us are going to know till the trial. Period.
Yeah.
Even then, we may not know.
Yeah, even then we may not know. Dang.
Yeah, that's true. Unless he stands up one day and says, "I did it," or somebody else comes forward and says they did it. That's the only way we're going to know.
Yeah, you got the wrong guy, people. It was me.
Right.
And even if Rick Allen says he did it, he may change his mind later and say, "No, I didn't mean to say that."
He might say it 60 times and then say,
Yep.
Right. Absolutely. Onward and upward.
Was back up in Johnson, Washington, about 36 minutes back up the road north toward Pullman. But the interesting thing about that, it pings around 5:30 p.m. the same day of the killings. But from 5:36 p.m. until 8:30 p.m., his phone stops pinging to the local towers, similarly to how it stopped pinging during the window of time that the murders occurred on the same day. Now, is that suspicious? That, of course, will be left up to the jury to decide during his trial. And Vinny, one more tidbit about those locations. To get to them, you have to pass over the Snake River. The Snake River separates Idaho from Washington State on the state line. Perhaps that could be home to the murder weapon or those bloody clothes that we've been speaking about.
Yeah, I remember the Snake River Canyon from years ago. You're too young, Cody, but that's where Evel Knievel attempted one of his jumps. Mike King is.
I've always had questions about the Snake River.
Yeah.
It's so deep in some spots. I looked it up. We looked up the depths of it in certain areas, and it's like 90 some feet deep in some spots. It's ridiculous.
It is, and there's all kinds of little places.
Yeah.
All the
Yes.
college kids would go up to the river and do their thing, and
they do whitewater rafting down the Snake
Yeah.
River.
Yep.
yeah, and doesn't it run along Wawa-wee over there? Kind of snakes around it a little bit.
I believe so. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the Snake River. Yep, that's Wawa-wee.
Yep.
And the last time that I was in Boise, I went to a restaurant that featured fresh cooked trout out of the Snake River.
Oh my God.
Oh
yeah.
man,
that was
sounds so
amazing.
good. God,
Grilled
that's-
trout, fresh
Yeah.
grilled trout. Oh, it was so good.
Yes. 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 God bless America, Joe.
you ought to see the catfish my dad caught the other day. Ooh.
I've been craving fried catfish too.
Oh
but
my God, it's so good.
Damn it.
You ought to see. I'll send you pictures, Dago. It is freaking huge.
I
I'm
can't
waiting on
wait.
my daddy to pull out the state record. I mean, it's going to happen any day now.
Did he catch it with his fingers? Did he go in and
No,
do
no,
that
no, no.
thing?
That's a
Oh.
No noodling.
Louisiana thing.
No
That ain't how
noodling.
we catfish in Northwest Florida. We can run we can set a trot line. Well, no, they're illegal now. We can set bush hooks.
Damn, that sounds so good, Joe. I haven't had trout in a long time. Damn.
It was good.
I'll bet. Good stuff. All right, guys, on we go.
Still with us as well. Mike, what are your thoughts about what the accused killer is doing after sunrise? And let's start with going back towards the scene of the crime, because if he's back there at 9:30 in the morning, there's no police cars. There's no one there because 911 hasn't been called yet.
Exactly, Vinny. And this thing is really interesting when you look at it from the perspective of criminal behavior. If, in fact, this is a predator who has fantasized about committing these murders, planned them out, and then looks for the news to come out and validate his work, and nothing comes out, it's got to be incredibly frustrating, which then prompts him to come out of the lair and drive by the location to figure out, have they even discovered this thing has happened yet? And I think that's really what we're going to find in this trial that comes.
That makes a lot of sense. I never thought of that. That he could have been sitting there at home watching the 6 o'clock
Yep.
news. Nothing's on, and what the hell? Holy shit! Somebody should have seen this by now. And out he goes. Why is nobody there?
Yeah, well, it goes into a psychology of
Mhm.
a killer. They like their work to be seen.
Of course.
A part of them wants that notoriety.
Yep.
Some analysts that study these kinds of things. And remember, he studied under one of the top doctors,
Yes, he did.
Ramsfeld, whatever how you pronounce their name.
Dr.
Ramslet.
Ramslet, yeah.
And so, was it one of those things? Why haven't they discovered it yet? What's going on? Like you said, Dago, what's going on? I got to go see. I don't, or do I go back in or not? I don't know. There's probably a lot of things going through that head if you're the guy.
Yeah, definitely.
So many
Wow.
things that could have been running through that head at that point, if that's what happened.
Yeah, that's a good point Mike has there, because I never thought of that whole, like, go home, let's sit, let's wait, let's watch. Is
Yeah.
the news there yet? Oh my God. What? Wait,
Well,
huh? It's not.
to be fair now, those kinds of things weren't well received for a long time, because a lot of us
Right.
did think of all that, and we've thought about it for months, and that's why we couldn't understand why both sides weren't really looked at, because is it too scary to look at it for real? I mean, because it is frightening to think this kind of people exist in the world. You don't want to think normal is bad. What looks normal is bad. You got. Do I need to be more afraid of the guy in the BMW at the red light than I do that homeless guy on the corner begging for $1?
Yeah.
Maybe I do. Maybe I do.
Right. Yes. Oh, I can agree, Paula. Definitely. In my opinion, he fits profile somebody who would do this. We've seen it so many times. Loner, no friends, antisocial, studies other killers. Just
And if
saying.
you really look back on him, like honestly, take a look at what his, some things that have been other than just stealing his sister's cell phone and getting in trouble for that when he pissed daddy off and dad turns you in. It goes beyond that. It goes well beyond that. Does it make you a killer? No, but it sure could lead to one.
Makes you questionable. Yes.
Yeah. If you look at other past from other people who've done similar or accused of similar.
Absolutely.
Comes out clearly is that drive-by was number one to validate that the police are either there or not there investigating it, and to reaffirm this monumental task that the predator feels they accomplished by killing these 4 kids. And it's really frustrating to think about it from that perspective. But then I think your questions are maybe going to go south of here, and I'll add on to that as we go forward.
Well, go ahead, Mike. I'm looking at a couple of the different stops here. You know, I understand the coffee. This could have been an all-nighter for him. Might be getting a little tired. Maybe some of the adrenaline is running out of his body at this moment, and you get a cup of Joe. But then the purchase at this Albertsons, I know there are supermarkets much closer to his home.
Exactly, Vinny. And you know what? I think it's going to be really interesting if law enforcement was able to collect a receipt from Kate's. I'd like to know if this guy got a double shot of caffeine on that cup of coffee, because if in fact it's him, he was up all night and he has to be pretty dang tired, regardless of how wired he is emotionally. And, you know, that could keep you going for a long time. But the other purpose of going south wasn't to get a cup of coffee. Albertsons might be just makes perfect sense. Maybe the guy was hungry by that time in the morning, or he needed to stop and use the restroom. 100 reasons that we could come up with why he needed to be in there. And I think that's going to come out if we actually get the full detail of the receipts of what was purchased there. But don't forget that the night before, or the hours before this, right after the murder, during that time when his phone is turned off, it's believed that he's making a couple of trips here and there. And then the phone comes on and we see him just north of that Lewiston location in 2 different places, that phone pinging. Again, the artist wants to see their artwork. And it might be that he's driving by those locations where he potentially dumped clothing or the knife, or he washed up afterward, and he wants to go by to make sure the law enforcement investigators aren't there, that he hasn't been burned in those specific locations. So it's the bear that's buried its prey going back to make sure that that site is still secure.
That makes so much sense. So much sense. Hey, Cody, I just want to make sure that I'm correct here, because I haven't been out there. You're on the ground. That Albertsons, are there other grocery stores that are closer to his apartment than that one?
Without a doubt. There's Walmart's, there's a Publix, and there's even a Target right next to Washington State University. So there was absolutely no reason to be almost an hour away down in the Snake River Valley.
Yeah, all of this is incredibly suspicious. It's circumstantial. It's not direct evidence, but it's part of the pieces that prosecutors have to put together and then pile up inside that courtroom to try to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. Big thanks to Mike King. Always great to have you. Cody Thomas on the case, doing great work as always. Thanks so much, Cody. Appreciate it. You know, when this case first broke, one of the big concerns that I think a lot of people had, we weren't hearing a lot of information from investigators, and it was a small town operation, right? Moscow, Idaho, small department, kind of in the middle of nowhere, rural. But what they did is they reached out and they got help from the state police and they got help from the FBI. And because of doing that, these prosecutors have been handed real evidence in this case. Things didn't escape this investigation. It was thorough and it was legit. And that's why I think prosecutors will have a great shot. I'm Vinny Politan. I'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.
I have to say, they needed the help from the other agencies. You know what I mean? To get all the stuff they were and put everything to put everything together, all the phone pings and go out and get all these cameras, and you find this white sedan and match it all up. That is pretty good, you know, if they can prove their case. You don't see that in some of the other cases we look at, you know. And it's harder to get away with shit these days because of all this technology. So how do you beat it?
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
The threshold is beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yep.
So you see a white Hyundai Elantra and a ton of videos, but you don't ever see a license plate with his license plate number on it. And
I wonder, because there's going to be there was a hearing that I had set up to review as well. It was the hearing where Anne brings Mallory on the stand, and she starts talking about the cell phone stuff. And when I was reviewing it again, I'm thinking, the judge had to stop and tell him to speak up. We all know, he kind of wanted to act shady and didn't remember a lot of this and that. But what the thing is, everything he uploaded into the system to make the maps and to put it all out where he was at legitimately still exist, right? The data he used to make that still exist. So saving versus not saving, all that stuff. She's looking for technicalities and stuff. But also I feel like what she never discredited what the FBI did. Cy Ray literally never discredited. He actually said the opposite. He knows those guys. He knows the ones in it there. They mentioned Nick Balance in that hearing. And I thought, wow, that's the Idaho FBI agent that I just watched get full testimony in Chad Daybell on drive time. What exact, all laid out beautifully. He's probably going to come in and testify in Idaho if the state calls the FBI agent. It's going to be Nick Balance. And I already know what his testimony is going to be. That's Cy Ray's challenge. Cy Ray's there to dispute the CAS data and the CDRs, or CRD, whatever it's called, the call detail records. That's what Cy is going to say was off. Now, I don't know if they were going for the angle that Mallory didn't know what he was doing when he uploaded everything. Did he do it wrong? Did he make mistakes that led him down a certain road? That's all I could really. But then I noticed when this prosecution got her turn to get up and ask him questions, boy, he could speak up and answer whatever she wanted. And I thought, dude, you got to do better than that in court, because Anne's going to review shreds. They may not be able to rip to shreds your data, but the FBI stuff. But you yourself, you're not going to be very good on that stand in trial.
Yep.
All right, Agent Balance, there's an exclusionary order.
Oh, okay.
Did I have the hearing in there, Dago? Because you can speed it up. We don't have to watch the whole thing. We can watch, because it is kind of long. Now, that's the Chad Daybell one. There should have been the Brian Koberger hearing. This is let me go back and look real quick. It should have been on the video list, but I may not have done it right. I may not have sent it out. I'm trying to remember.
So, this video reminds me that the weirdest thing I have seen recently in true crime.
Let me go look.
Is that his attorney Pryor took possession of his house where the children's bodies were found as payment for his services rendered for being his defense attorney.
Yep. The house is for sale right now.
That blows my mind.
Yep. It's crazy, wasn't it?
It's sick.
Yep. I think it just went up for sale the other day, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Let me go look at the computer, Dago, and see what I did.
This is the one the only other thing that's in there.
Okay, that is the testimony that Nick Balance gave at the Chad Daybell trial. He did the drive time test, and he's going to explain how all that works and what it is. If you guys want to review it, we can go ahead and do that. I had the hearing sent, but it's not necessary to look at that before looking at this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Let me see here. Okay. Right.
But also by their engineers who set up the networks. They provide kind of an overview of how each specific network is set up. We went to see a network switch to see the actual physical infrastructure associated with cellular technology. And then upon completion of that, we're given a written test that we have to pass. And then the last 2 weeks, we do instruction on what's called drive testing, which is taking measurements of what the...
For those of you that may not understand what this, I know she just explained it, but just to be sure, the gentleman that's testifying right now is who the state would bring in as their expert witness to kind of go against Cy Ray, which would be the defense's expert witness. And this is a demonstration of how he would come out and explain what he would explain in the Idaho case, is all that this is from the Daybell case.
True cellular environment looks like for a particular area. And then we have a problem that we have to solve again, that we take all the way to a mock court scenario that we have to present. Upon completion of all of that, instructors meet, discuss each candidate, and then if you pass, you would be considered a certified member of CAST.
And are you a certified member of CAST?
Yes.
So you completed all that training you just discussed?
Yes, sir.
So, and you completed it successfully?
Yes, sir.
I want to talk to you a little bit about cell towers for a minute. What, based on your knowledge and your training of cellular networks, can you explain to the jury what a cell tower does?
Sure. So a cell tower is constantly emitting radio frequency for a given area. And so if you think about it from the standpoint of whenever you're going to make a call on your phone, the important part is you want to be able to talk to somebody that's a great distance away. So phones work very similar to what a portable radio that you could go buy at an electronics store would works in the same way. So if you take that portable radio, you can communicate to somebody, but you're limited on the distance that you could communicate with them. So if our cell phone was only able to communicate down the street, it wouldn't necessarily be relevant for our day-to-day life. So what a cell tower does is it allows the cell tower to the cellular phone, instead of communicating directly with another phone, to communicate with that tower. Once it does that, that signal can be transmitted down the street or throughout the world to allow you to make a phone call to anywhere that a cellular phone has service.
What is the range of a cell tower?
So the range of a cell tower primarily depends on the area. So whenever network engineers are creating the network, they're ultimately doing it to support population or users of their network. So in an area like Boise, where there's a pretty high population, you'll see a lot of cell phone towers, and those towers are generally going to provide service out to the next closest tower. So like I said, in Boise, where you have a large population to support, the footprint of what that cellular tower is going to provide coverage to is smaller. When you start talking about Rexburg, which is a more rural area, there's less towers. So those towers are going to go out farther distances just because of the fact that the population is less dense there.
So is it fair to say that cell towers are responsible for providing coverage to a particular area?
Yes, networks are designed to provide coverage to its users.
And can you explain what a sector of a tower is?
Yes, so a traditional cell phone tower, if you're looking at it from the top and think of it as that radio frequency is going out in all directions almost as a circle. So to optimize their network, that tower is divided into 3 different sectors. So again, if you think about that circle and cutting it into a pie of 3 equal pieces, that's what a sector represents. So there's antennas on that tower that basically provide coverage to 120 degrees away from that tower. So if you think about that circle being 360 degrees, divide that by 3, that gives you the 3 equal sectors that cover approximately 120 degrees of that circle.
And can you briefly summarize for the jury how a cell phone engages with a cell tower?
Yes. So your cell phone, even in your pocket when you're not talking on it, is constantly scanning the environment to look for which tower and sector are providing the strongest signal. So that way, if you do need to make a call or receive a text message, your phone is already aware of what tower and sector it's going to utilize for that interaction.
Okay. And how does a phone determine, or how is it determined what tower a cell phone connects with?
So the phone is making that decision. And that's probably the most important part to remember that. The phone, whenever it's scanning and it's looking at the cellular environment that it's in, it's keeping a list of what that strongest tower is at any given time. So the cell phone selects the strongest tower and sector to begin an interaction with the network for whatever it is, via voice call, email, whatever that might be.
And will that strongest tower always be the closest tower?
It can be, but also there could be obstructions in the way that it might choose a cellular tower that's a little bit farther away. So it's going to choose the strongest signal, not necessarily the closest.
Do cellular companies record the activity of each of their customers?
They do. So if you think about, maybe 15 years ago, whenever you got a cell phone bill, and not only did it include the amount that you owed the provider, you also had a list of all the different calls that were made on that specific account. So whenever you're looking at the recordings of what a cellular provider keeps on the specific account, that's what we're talking about. So that could be the date and time, the duration of a specific event, the direction, whether you received an inbound or outbound call, and that's on your call detail record. The difference with the records that what law enforcement look at is it also includes columns for location information. So what that includes is the tower and sector that was utilized for a specific interaction that you had with the provider.
And I think you used the phrase call detail records.
Yes,
Is that the phrase usually associated with the records that the cellular companies keep?
it is. Yes.
What pieces of, you kind of went over this, but what pieces of information are typically found in a call detail record?
So typically, just like on the old phone bill, you'll see a date and a time. You'll see what type of transaction, whether it was a voice or a text message. You'll see the duration if it was a voice call. You'll see the number that was called or the number that called into the account. And then, like I mentioned, with the call detail records we're looking at, we'll also see columns that give us location information.
Does the information captured on call detail records vary by provider?
It does. Most providers are going to capture the majority of the same information. They just might capture it different ways. But specific to, there are nuances specific to Verizon. Verizon doesn't capture the location information associated with a text message.
And other companies do?
Correct.
Do cellular providers maintain lists of where their towers are located?
They do. So each cellular provider has, by latitude and longitude location, every single tower that they have throughout the territory that they cover.
How do you use those types of records to determine where a phone was located?
So if you think about the specific geographical area, let's just talk about Idaho. So if you look at a cellular provider's tower records for Idaho, I can take those records and place them on a map for the significant area that we're looking at. So again, let's just say for the state of Idaho. With that, I can then take the call detail records and marry each line in a call detail record up with the location of the tower and sector that was used for that specific event. So if you think about it from the standpoint of every tower, if you imagine it was a mailbox on a map, I'm taking each line as a letter and delivering it to that specific mailbox on the map. So what that enables me to do is anytime there's an interaction on those call detail records, I can see at that date and time what tower and sector was utilized.
And how do you estimate the coverage area of a sector?
So that goes back to, again, talking about looking at the population density is usually a good estimate, because whenever you see an area like Boise, the coverage area of a tower and sector is usually going to go out to the next tower and sector because they want to provide overlapping coverage to their customers. Again, I'll use a few analogies when I explain this, but if you think about in your yard, if you have a sprinkler system and a sprinkler head's only going out a couple feet, and then there's nothing hitting the grass for another 10 feet to your next sprinkler, you're going to have dead grass, just like you're going to have dead areas in cell service. Because of that, engineers, in order to optimize their network, provide overlapping coverage. So each tower is going to have overlapping coverage with the tower next to it.
Is there a way to determine the actual coverage area of a sector versus how you just described?
Yes. So we can do what's called a drive test, which is I briefly mentioned as a part of our certification process. And what this is we take equipment that has sensors and antennas, and we can place it. It's a portable unit that we can place into a car. And then we, in essence, like the name says, drive an area. And as we're driving, it's taking hundreds of measurements a minute of the location of where the drive test equipment is and what the cellular signal that it sees at any given time. So if you go to a specific area and drive basically every road, every area that you can get to, then what we can do is we can take all of that data, put it onto a map, and see what the true coverage of a tower and sector is versus what these estimates that I mentioned are.
And is drive testing used in the cellular industry?
Yes, drive testing would be the industry standard for determining the true coverage of a cellular footprint.
Did you conduct a drive test in this case?
I did.
What was the area that you conducted your drive test over?
So we conducted the drive test pretty much throughout Rexburg, all the way up to the area around St. Anthony and down just a little bit south of Rexburg.
When did you do that?
We did that in June of 2020.
So in essence, what he's explaining, guys, is, again, I'm pretty sure that this is what's going to happen in Idaho. They're going to ask almost the same identical question, I would imagine, to him. Did you do this drive test for this area? That's going to be really important with this, because then, like he just explained, it's going to give exacts, okay?
It's going to give you real-time measurements of when a phone works and when it don't.
Right. So
through that drive.
And go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. And because Ann mentioned a drive test in that hearing.
Yeah, and that's going to be big.
And it gives, and now the reason he's testifying about this is because Lori Vallow's brother, Alex Cox, was in that backyard
Mm-hmm.
burying those children. They
Mm-hmm.
pinged his phone within steps of where those kids were found.
And that's what we need in Idaho, is to be able to put him rather than
But that phone
20
was
to
off
30
or
miles
not.
away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the phone was not on or off or anywhere near. We don't know what was going on with it. But the phone they were tracking on the pings suddenly went offline at what, 3?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't come back online anywhere till 5 a.m.
Right.
So this drive test, like Dago said, is super important.
Right.
Because
But
why was your phone not working? If you were out driving and stargazing, and you're gonna agree you were pinging here and there because you're using that as your alibi.
Right.
Where was it between the 3 and 5 when we can't find it on any of these networks? What was going
Exactly.
on with it at that time? Well, I was out driving around. There's no service. Well, let's just go drive test it and see.
so I'm going to be the devil's advocate right here.
Do
If-
it. I love it.
And if I'm the defense attorney, I'm saying, okay, so your drive test shows your accuracy was this much on this day,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna literally go out and drive that every single day for the next 90 days, and I'm gonna come up with different results.
Yep.
Because we all know that we've been sitting there looking at our phone in
Yes.
in poor coverage areas, and
Yep.
we'll see 1 bar 1 second, and then we'll hold our phone a different way, and there'll be 4 bars
And
a different second.
That's been talked about too. So yeah, I agree.
Between my house and town, there's a 15-mile stretch. Well, there's an area I will go in a few miles right there. Not even that long. I know where it's at. I know where it's going to start. I know where it's going to end. I'm about
I
to
do
lose my
too.
service because I'm
And on the
usually
phone.
listening to YouTube in the car or something. I'm Bluetoothed in, but my signal on my phone starts to go out right there. And my sister and I, she's got a spot up by her house too, and we live on way opposite sides of towns of each other. But we both know when we're talking on the phone driving home at the end of our day, one of us is going to lose service. We have to call each other back in a minute, kind of thing. But we both know exactly where those locations are. It never changes.
Yes,
Right, but
you've even told me that yourself.
It never changes, but it never changes within 1 yard, 10 yards,
Right.
100 yards, 1,000 yards.
It does actually,
is-
because I've noticed sometimes it'll start a little earlier than normal, and then sometimes it comes back
Yeah.
on before it normally would. And then there's just a few minutes now. It's not like a big dim difference, but it's a little bit.
Right.
I don't
it's
know if I
enough-
was like thinking
it-
to myself, are they getting the service better out here when I'm hit the bottom right here? I don't lose out.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm a defense attorney, that is my angle at attacking this
Yeah.
witness is what is your exact amount of uncertainty, because uncertainty should be quantifiable.
Right.
It
And
should
that's
be
where Cy-Ray
quantifiable.
comes in.
It should be quantifiable to the 95% confidence level, or you shouldn't be able to testify to it. And if they can't do that, and I would press them on that, and I guarantee you that most of these guys that go in there, like Trooper Cecil in the Delphi
Yes.
hearings, if I had pressed Trooper Cecil like I would have pressed him as a defense attorney, he would not have been able to answer me what his uncertainty level was at the 95% confidence level.
Right.
That is the measure of standard across the industry, is 95% confidence level. He wouldn't have been able to answer it, and I would plant doubt in the jury's mind based just on that.
Well, if you can't find that phone for 2 hours, you can't place it near the crime scene. That alone is to go along with what you said. There's issues with this cell data, and there are issues with that these cameras that we see or know of. And it's and that's her only angle is to come in and say you're wrong. These experts. But the other thing about the alibi is they never for sure tell you. She even says we're going to use the cell phone data to prove what we're saying. So it's going to be so interesting to see how they do play this out.
I agree.
But the burden of proof isn't on them to prove anything.
No, it's for her to come in there and test what you're telling us and in your science.
Yeah. And then Patsy says, we don't know what the defense has to present yet.
No.
DK may also have left a phone in another area, an electronic alibi. And
I know they were able to put Alex Cox in that backyard within feet of where those kids were buried using his cell phone. That I do know. And that's not in this particular testimony, but he's just explaining what the FBI would come in and say. Remember, because Ann couldn't get the FBI records, they had to subpoena, and the judge had to sign the subpoena and all that because they don't like, oh yeah, we'll volunteer to come tell you. You know what I mean? It's not a perfect science.
No.
Right.
And I guarantee you, I would have got that technician who testified to that he could place his phone there within feet of the bodies. I would have got him to admit that there was uncertainty enough outside of the realm of,
and that's the only one they could really, I mean, they know Chad's was there, but he lived there, right? So whatever. But when they were doing Alex's phone was when I really was like, damn, they got some pretty good, accurate information off that dude's phone. And we all know he was in that backyard. We all know those bodies were right there, you know, but you know, it's different with the Koberger case because we don't know yet. And there's a lot of questions about, because he's not stationary in the yard. You know what I mean? Like Alex was for this period of time. Because when the crimes were going down, allegedly, there was no phone anywhere near that house.
Right. Hey, JC. Good to see you.
Hey, JC. Did you get off work or are you still at work?
Yeah, that was something I had thought of as well, Patsy, about there being another phone possibly being left for that scenario. Who knows? You know what I mean?
You know,
I won't be surprised. I'll put it that way.
I just don't know why that phone wasn't left on the bedside nightstand and oops, I forgot my phone.
But again,
how bad do you need it?
That could have been done on purpose too, Salty. You know what I mean?
I know. I've theorized both ways. If I'm so smart, and I know that phone could get me in trouble by tracking me, why not just leave it turned on, leave it there? I went for my drive, got halfway, got 10, 20 miles down the road and realized I don't have it. I'm not going back now.
Right.
So that's totally doable, totally believable to me. Most folks will go back and get it if you realize right away. But if you're halfway down your journey, you're maybe not. So why take it?
Yeah. So what?
Go ahead.
What's the reason that we mostly have our phones for? It's either a map app to get us from point A to point B, or it's to socially communicate with our friends and family.
Right.
And he wasn't doing either that night. He didn't need to know the map. He already had it mapped out. He knew the path all the way down to Clarkston and all the way up to Moscow and through Blaine and Genesee and Uniontown. He knows those roads already. He doesn't need his phone. So just leave it at home. Why didn't he leave it at home?
That's what I said the whole time. But then I wondered, did you go leave it somewhere on purpose? But that it would ping wherever you left it, right? But that's not what happened. It was just offline.
Right. Exactly.
It's weird.
Yeah. Very weird situation.
They need to explain that. You know what I mean? He don't have to unless he decides to take the witness stand. That would be interesting. Y'all think he will?
He might. He might. That could be the whole thing with this. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them at this point, honestly.
But if his defense team is asserting an alibi defense, they do kind of need to address that issue.
Yes.
Yep. They do. They do have their own set of issues to address.
Ann seems very confident in what she's doing, and as if she's got a specific plan to do something. Okay.
Oh, she's got a plan of attack for every piece of evidence they present to her. That's her job.
It seems to be being really calculated, though, and I'm curious to see if it's going to go in that direction. Do you know what I mean? So
she's very calculated, and Ann's very smart. Ann's very intelligent. Ann is in there getting the job done. I wish other defense attorneys could be as good. I think she's saving a lot of. You can tell she really wants to dig in these hearings to these people she is able to bring to the stand. So far, she's brought her experts out and presented them. Putting Mallory up there, we were all kind of like, "Whoa, what's this?
Yeah, right.
Little pre-trial thing going on here." And
what's his
I felt
name?
like she wanted to give him a harder time, but she was being, because she would be like, "Oh, okay, Like, I see you, dude. I feel that energy, and I feel it. I feel you.
Yes.
I seen you
yes,
too.
Yep. Same with both of them. What the hell's his name? The lead detective. When she brought him, I was a little bit
Yeah.
backed up too. Like, whoa, this should be interesting. So, she's definitely doing calculated, specific things for different reasons, and I'm very interested to see exactly what this is all going to be about. I really am.
When you know that all they have is this phone data, the car
Yep.
videos, and the sheep.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why I'm like, wow, what are you going to do next? You know, every time there's a hearing for anything, I'm waiting to see some big surprise or something, you know. So we shall see. We shall see. Welcome, Hummingbird. Good to see you tonight. I hope you are having a great evening as well. My head's a scary place to be. I bet a lot of ours is right about now.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like the court TV piece, I thought they sat there and speculated like we did, but they also said the same thing we've sat here and said.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
issues, and I felt, because everybody
They
wants to go
approach both
attack
sides.
them, you know, and it's court TV, mainstream media anymore. I think true crimers watch court TV. I don't
do.
think the general public's out there, God, you know, court TV is about to come on. If you're into true crime, you're going to watch court TV.
I always do.
You know what I mean? They're the only ones I do watch, and I just watch them for
yeah.
shits and giggles, you know.
I show
Plus,
you
they got some good stuff.
Everything I show you guys comes from Vinny and from Court TV. I
Yeah,
love it.
we do, and I think in the beginning, people think that's, you know, just because we watch it, maybe we think that he's guilty because they're telling us he's guilty. They didn't tell me he was guilty.
Nope.
They kind of looked at both sides. I thought,
That's
we tried
why
to
I
do.
like them.
Yeah.
Yes, they're definitely unbiased over there, in my opinion, and that's why I've always brought that to you guys. So,
I mean, if you want to,
no. Vinny is definitely not unbiased.
No, sometimes he's not.
He wrapped up that last segment, and I'm scrolling up to look at my comments. He said they were handed real evidence. So he was talking about the job the police did.
Yeah, they're gonna be them. You know what I mean? The Vinny Politan you get on his YouTube lives and the Vinny Politan you get on Court TV are two different people.
Agreed. And I don't like when he takes drinks out of his water bottle when he's on his personal live.
Oh, me neither, dude. I almost, dude.
It's such a pet peeve of mine.
I like the way he throws shade at some of these defendants, so especially Stephon Stearns. I like, get him, get him.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm 100%
he's really
down
good with that.
Yeah,
very good. So yeah,
but they on the Court TV segment, he said the word monster, and then they showed Brian Koberger like in 6 different video clips.
I'll retract
when
that.
he said monster.
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect. They're not. They do have they want to put their flair and their drama, and it's the same way with all the cases they cover, you know. But I, as a general public, maybe because I'm in true crime and I know better, that kind of stuff I overlook. I never let it sway my opinion on. No, I got to go look deep dive now. You know what I mean? Because if I believed Court TV and believed mainstream media, Richard Allen's definitely the guy. Koberger's the guy. They're all the guy. Every single one of them. But we all know that that's not always the case.
No,
you know?
And it doesn't sway my opinion about the defendant.
Yeah,
Richard Allen or Koberger, but it does paint me a little bit of picture about the person that's presenting me their evidence in their light.
Yes, I agree.
So,
and there's not everybody can sit here and do like we would do and say, because some people will see that stuff and they will develop their feelings, but are they the jurors? You know what I mean? And that's what you don't want is potential jurors to see that type of stuff over and over and over. And that's where Anne comes in with all the last hearing with the change of venue.
Mm-hmm.
This is why. Could you put doubt in someone's mind based on what they saw on TV? And these, like he said, the subliminal messaging, the monster, the wrapping it up with they've been handed real evidence. Well, we don't know, Vinny, if it's real or not. Is it Memorex?
I guess what I was trying to say is that they do talk about both sides of
the
situation. I guess I should have said that, but yeah.
Well, a lot of times he'll bring on guests that will oppose.
That's
right?
what I mean.
and point out things. So that's what I look for is the guests and what they're saying. I ignore what they say about the defendants. I do. I do it all the time, but that's me because I'm conditioned to ignore them. I ignore them about a lot of things, but not everybody can do that. Just like on the YouTube streets, they can't come in and just listen and follow the conversation, see how it develops. No, y'all are wrong. You're stupid.
You have to pick a side. You got to pick a side.
So I hold social media just as accountable as I do mainstream media because the same people are watching all of it. You know, not everybody watches YouTube though. I wonder though, this case has gotten, to me, it's not out of hand. It's just because it's going to come down to this evidence, period.
Definitely.
Well, I think right now, and I think based on the last hearing that I saw where the judge allowed the defense to continue their surveys of the local residents, it's going to come down to whether or not he can get an impartial jury.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And at this point, they need to bring one in or move it. That's just all there is to it. I don't think the public would be satisfied. No. The general public out there watching only mainstream media, I don't even know if they pay attention or if the ones that do, can be affected. But to satisfy social media,
yeah, it's never going to happen if you do that right.
You need to move this trial because he's never going to get a fair trial if you do it in Moscow, according to social media. But I agree, it could be affected. So I say, bring in a jury. I really don't care which way you do it, but we all know it needs to be moved.
Yep.
I feel like it does. I do feel like it does.
Yeah, definitely. and I think their survey results were very clear in that.
Yeah. And my heart, I feel like they probably should bring a jury in because I know how much of a burden it was on Kay and Larry to have to go to Boise for both trials. They had 2 trials, granted. They have to rent houses and stay, because the traveling back and forth is a bitch and it's costly. And so it takes a toll on the family at that point. So you got to balance those. Bring a jury in, put them up in the hotel, sequester them, do all the things. Do what you got to do.
Isn't that what they're doing for Richard Allen? Aren't they bringing in a jury from Allen County?
Going to bring in the jury from Allen County, which has to be done in that case. You wouldn't. You couldn't pick a jury out of Delphi, out of Carroll County. It would be.
God,
Could you imagine if she allowed that to happen? But yeah, they are bringing in a jury from Allen County over to Carroll County. And he's being held in Cass County. We've got a multi-county thing going on over there.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, in Idaho, that will give... I think that's being... If you were to bring a jury in, that's being fair to both sides, in my opinion. So, both sides are getting what they need out of that situation.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well go ahead and please both sides and do it that way. Why not?
Sure.
And Judge is pretty fair, in my opinion, so far. I mean, he gives Ann a lot of what she asked for. He signed the subpoenas to get what she wanted. He's like, I'll sign them today. That judge, to me, loves the law, and he is sitting there just bring it, Ann Taylor.
He wants to
He tells her, you give me the argument, and you're going to get what you want. You got to bring me that argument.
Yeah, he definitely wants to see it.
And she's there she's there to bring it. Ann is very confident in her abilities, and she should be. You don't want somebody who's not. That's why she's the death penalty attorney.
Yeah, and that's why this is going to be super interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to continue to play him, Dago. He kind of went over what he does and what he got.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I thought with that.
It was just kind of give you guys a review of what could come into the testimonies. We heard Cyree come in already and talk about the doubt of what they do here. So this was just like the other side of that. That's all.
Yeah, that way everybody can understand that. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be the guy that they bring in, if anybody. So,
well, he's the one in that region, right?
Yeah.
So I would be shocked if it's not Nick. It could be a different one. But whenever Ann asked him, who gave you this? He said, Nick Balance. She said, from the FBI. He says, yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just seen that dude. And I went back and I was like, oh, holy hell, that's him. You know? So if he's the one in that region, he is going to be possibly. And he does testify because they're not going to bring, agents just don't come testify in court. You don't want to know. They can't be, they're secret. You know what I mean? They're FBI people.
Right.
But you got this guy, that's what he does. He goes to court in that, so yeah, he'll probably be the one.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, he's loud and clear, and he's knows his shit kind of guy. You know what I mean? So he's very used to testifying.
Good point, right?
And spilling his little spill there.
Mm-hmm. Sure thing. This is the video from earlier, the picture, I should say, from earlier that we were talking about with the car that was taken from the gas station through a plate glass window. And you know this because right here you can see the reflection.
Yeah. Well, she admitted she took the picture. The gas station attendant pulled the video footage up, noticed his car. She took a picture of it, but then she called the authorities and they turned the video over.
Not through a plate glass window. I'm sorry. What the hell am I thinking about?
It's through the screen.
It was through the screen. So her camera's reflecting off the video screen of where the picture came from the car. That's what I was trying to say.
When she was reviewing their video footage, because they were asking all the businesses to check their footage.
Right.
So she was checking their footage because she's on that route and she sees this white sedan and she took this picture and she put it out there. She leaked it to the media. But the actual video that it came from, we don't know. Cops got it.
Yeah, but that's what that is. That is like a CCTV screen that took a picture from the gas station, and there's her camera taking a picture of that footage, guys. But anyway, that is the car they believe belongs to him. You can't see the front, you can't see the back, and it's very blurry here. This is what Jeff was talking about the headlights glaring and stretching and distorting and.
It was moving, so
yeah, it was in motion. And I overlaid 30 different vehicles over top of this, and honest to God, could not match it up 100% with anything.
Not like Jeff was able to do with that Linda Lane footage. Now it just showed you how it could have been that 2015 Elantra.
Right.
And it was way better than this thing. That thing right there don't mean nothing. The actual video might, but her screenshot is nothing. People were saying, oh, that car's parked. It's got flat tires. The tires are gone.
It's on the back of a flatbed. Yeah.
Yeah, we heard it all. So it's just a damn picture of a car.
Absolutely. So that's the picture that we were talking about way earlier on in this. And that's what it's from, like she just explained. So.
And do you have the one of Maddie's bedroom?
Yeah, 1 second. I got so much of this stuff. Give me a second here.
I know. God, you ought to see my albums, my photos.
I had to delete some things. It was, believe it or not, this computer was starting to get hot.
No, it's all on my phone, dude. It's all on my phone. I don't have much on my computer. Everything is literally on my phone. I do so much from this damn phone. It ain't funny. I don't even know why I got a computer. Well, I do know because I could stream, but look how that's went.
You're right.
I make all my videos, thumbnails, everything I do on my phone. I'm working all the time.
Well, you can't stream from your computer when your kids are taking up all the bandwidth.
No, right? I know. God, Lord, there's a lot of people in that house, y'all. Just a lot of people in there right now. And we're in a rural area. We don't have cable. Everything streams, the TV, everything we're doing. Our phones work up here without Wi-Fi, but everything else you got to have the Wi-Fi on.
I'm blessed to have fiber optic. I love it.
Are you? Damn it.
Yeah.
I used to when I lived in town, but I gave it up for the country.
You know what? That's a good trade-off.
Yeah.
It's peaceful up here. I love it. I'm sitting outside now.
You getting you some moon rays?
Yep. I don't hear no sirens. I don't hear no traffic. I'll hear the random big-ass truck rolling down the road up here in these country boys. They all got pickups.
That's the beautiful thing about living back here. Honest to God, I love it.
I was hearing the coyote. Did y'all hear the coyotes a little while ago? It was just raising hell. I had to put y'all on mute. I had to mute myself. They was pretty close this time. I could hear them. I was like, damn. But I know the guys ain't running their dogs, so.
Now, when I lived in Southern California, we heard the coyotes a lot. And like within a day or two, you'd always see a cat missing poster up on the telephone poles.
These cats around here, dude, they stick close to the house. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
There's something roaming around here, and it's a predator, and it's pretty big. I can't make out what it was the other night, even on my video, and the light looked like one of the Maine Coons. I don't know, but I'm waiting on him to come back. He won't come out here. He waits till I go in the house, and then he jumped the fence the other night to attack this cat that stays in this pole barn.
Oh,
He didn't
wow.
get him. He didn't get him, but I went inside and I heard the dog bark. She never barks, but my son was still up, and it's his dog. Oh, he's got her. I don't know what. It was probably a random cow loose again. She barked at, but they said that when they heard the cat scream, and they came out the back door, and something was taken off. I was like, dude, I literally just came in from out there. Was it waiting on me to go back in? Because the other night when I videoed it in the front yard, it turned and looked at me and started walking toward me, but I was in the backyard behind a fence. And I looked dead at it, and I said, don't you even freaking try it, whatever you are. And it turned and walked away and went into the darkness.
You need you a concealed carry permit.
Oh, we covered. We covered. The cat was playing dead in the front yard to this thing. No shit. I was like, holy cat. It done killed the cat. And then I was like, and then when it walked off, the little cat jumped up and ran. I was like, holy shit, what just happened? So yeah, I don't know what the thing is.
Now, if that car is going around the building as we were seeing on Linda Lane, and I'll show you that again here in a minute, okay? As they turned that right corner to go back around to make another loop, per se, okay? This is what you see right here. This is up above that where that deck is on the upper half of the house. This is where the girls' bedrooms were up here, okay? So there's the main window right there that you see as you turn that corner. And that, I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that where the M was seen? Salty was right here.
Yeah, you don't got a picture of that, huh? Of her.
I
clearly,
do. I'm just trying to dig out my. Sorry.
Number 44.
Oh, it's on my phone. Never mind. It's not on. I was like, let me go in the house and I'll send it to you, but it's on my phone. And if I go get it, I'll have to leave streaming.
I just have to dig for them all. I have so many from so long ago, but yeah.
Yeah, when you pull up back there and you park the way they claim it parked, you're looking dead at Maddie's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see if there's lights on, lights off, movement. There's the big pink M. There's big pink cowboy boots sitting there. Everybody knew. Well, we now know Maddie loved her pink cowboy boots, and they were on full display right there. Big old M. She's the only one whose name began with an M.
Yep.
So it was definitely her room, and you could definitely see it from behind that house, especially from where that car allegedly parked.
Yes.
And then, the only other problem really is that damn timeline of events. Now, could it happen real fast if things didn't go as planned? Probably. But I don't know. It's really pushing it. I don't know. What do y'all think? Is that like...
I have a few of these because I have so many different things. I don't know if this one's good or if this is what you meant, but you can see here.
No, I've got real clear ones though. You can see the M, you can see the boots.
The M's there. Those are the boots, that pink thing in the corner, but the M's right there. But this is turning that corner again. To her room.
Yeah, that's a good angle because that's behind the Queen Road Apartments there.
Yes.
When you come around.
As they're coming around the bend, that's what you would have seen right there. And like they said, lights on or off.
Remember JLR drove back there. Remember, because we didn't know for the longest time if you could even get behind Queen Road Apartments.
Because
if it was blocked off,
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
And then we realized you could go all the way around and circle that building and come back there. And we knew how dark it was. We all deep dove the maps and all the drone. Remember Tony Mathis went down there and got some drone footage of the King Road house. Yeah, I've seen it. So we all learned the lay of the land real quick, like. But when we realized you could go around there, but JLR had a video. Well, he ain't the only one. Several people did. Didn't CJ go back there? And Rory's been back there.
I was running that live stream when me and CJ were together, and Rory was walking back there. That's how we found the camera.
I was in that stream. That
Right.
wait,
Yep.
wait. Was that okay?
There's a telephone pole type pole right here, a light pole, where this red car's sitting here, and at the top
Yeah,
of
and
that,
I got a
there's
picture of 3 investigators standing there, all 3 pointing in that damn direction. And
there's a camera. Yep. Yeah.
and we've all studied and wondered, what are they pointing at? Because they're
Yeah.
all 3 standing there. And man, I wish I could pull it up. I'll
And
send this all to you.
Rory walks underneath, and somebody said, "Look up," and there he was like, "There is," and there was a camera right there. We were like, "Shit." But it would have been above. You would have seen what's going on up above, and we didn't know where it was or where it was pointed to, and whether it was live or not. So,
And it would have
was
seen that car come from behind that building and pulling away.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, guys, there's the pink boots. There's the M for Maddie. And this deck goes around, and there's like a side thing, just like it's down below.
It wraps around a little bit.
Okay. Is this the second floor or the third floor?
That's the third. Sorry, the third.
The third. The second floor is right here, where the
Below
slider
it.
is in the kitchen, and the first floor is actually ground. It's below. You can't. It's a weird house, but yeah.
You can access the first floor from the front door, walk right into it. But from behind the house, I've got some good footage of that house and to show you how that is. But
yeah. All right,
so what are the theories, that he came in on the third floor,
the
or
sliding? No, the sliding doors right there.
Right
Those
here.
were left open. I got to dig deep to find it, but I seen it. Cluminati's seen it. Many other people seen it. Chief Fry says in one of because everybody's trying to figure out what door was open. He said that as far as they know, that front door was shut when they got there. If it was, and this is me theorizing, if that door was open, it's because the kids all ran out the damn front door. Who's going to shut it? But the back slider was open when the police got there. But they didn't state it was left open. None of that. There was no forced entry. And that's the door he entered, which is also from behind the house there.
It's been theorized now that this slider right here was opened as the suspect came in and left open the whole time, including when he left. It was never touched again. So
no, and the latch had to have been broke at some point, because I've got the pictures of where after the cops come in and start processing that scene, there's bar stools wedged against that slider to keep it shut.
Yeah, on the ground, laying on their side right here.
And the third floor balcony there with the big sliders, that's Kaylee's bedroom.
Right here.
Right around the other side, it was Maddie's window.
Yes.
And that all faces the back where the woods are, right behind the apartments.
Their rooms were directly across the hall from each other. This here is the kitchen. And then down and around this area right here is the living room. And then Xana's room down this hallway. And then down here is the first floor. Now, Joe, this house.
Where Bethany's room was.
Yeah. This house used to exist of only this right here where it's split. This was the house right here itself. Okay. This was what they were telling me was Yeah, this was the front of the house, the way it was explained to me initially. And when they remodeled it and put this on here, this became the back of the house, and they spun it around. There's a door right here on the front. Let me see if it shows. Maybe not here, but anyway, there's a front door right here where my cursor is, by this ladder right around to the left. There is the front door. Right. And then this is down here on the first floor is where Bethany was supposedly at initially. Dylan was up here on this floor, and then the two, Kaylee and Maddie, were up here. So, and like I said, the theory is that he went in through this back door, the slider, left it wide open, never touched it again, did what he did, and came right back out that door again.
When you go in that kitchen and you come out of it, you're literally at the stairs to slip up to the third floor. They're right there. But Dylan's room is also right there. Her bedroom door is right there, and the stairwell to the third floor, all right there when you come out of the kitchen.
So where was the bedroom? Where
I'm going to tell you right now. Hold on a minute. Let me pull this. I got so much of this. Hold on a minute. I take your pick. 1 second. Oh, that's even clearer. Wait, where'd it go? Yeah, okay. Hold on a second here. I'm sorry. I got too many of them. 1 second.
Do you still have that link to the 3D model?
I have a few of them actually.
I think it's in my Discord. I'm gonna go look real quick.
Actually, I have this one that is. Yeah, hold on a minute. This is a virtual walkthrough. One of like 30 that I have, but okay. So this is one of the virtual setups of the house. Okay, here's the front door, or the front door, and let me see something. Does this? Let's see. All right, so as you go through the front door.
So that's supposedly where the killer came in?
Yeah, no, that's the back.
No, the front
slider
door
is in the back.
Yeah, but he came in through the back door, apparently.
I'll show you. This is when you come in the front door there, right to the immediate left. You go up these stairs, right? This takes you up. Yeah, these were the 2 bedrooms downstairs.
Okay, hold on. Go back a second. Okay, so when you come in that front door, that bedroom to the right immediately was empty. No one was in that room. Down that hall is Bethany's room on the very first floor. And then you go up those stairs like Dago was showing you to the second floor, which is where Xana's bedroom was and Dylan's.
Yeah, so they're showing the inside of the bedroom real quick. That was Bethany's room, I do believe.
There's only 2 bedrooms down there. One at the very far end was Bethany's.
Which was the one that testified to the bushy eyebrows?
Dylan.
Upstairs on the second floor.
Right. They'll get there in a second.
Right by the kitchen, yeah.
Hold on a minute. This is a shitty version. Okay, so back to these stairs here. What the hell is she doing? She's all over the place on this. 1 second, Joe.
Hang on, I'm looking right now.
All right, so going up these stairs, this takes you up to the living room, okay? This showing the angle looking down, obviously. And then this is where the living room was. And that hall, okay, here's the living room. And slow down, Jesus. Come on now. I got a few of these. I just grabbed the first one I saw. All right, that hallway right there, that door is Xana's room. And then there's to the left of that, there's a bathroom right here. Okay. Now, 1 second here. Let me move this forward again so we can get around this. They have the couch in the wrong place too, but whatever. Okay. Now, coming around through this area here, this will take you to the right. We'll go to the kitchen, right? This is Dylan's bedroom right here. Can you see my cursor okay?
Yes.
All right, that's Dylan's room. This is a stairwell that takes you up to the 3rd floor.
Okay.
So Xana's room is here to the right. You come down that hallway in through here. There's Dylan's room. There's the kitchen, which is where that slider is, or up the stairs to go up to Maddie and Kaylee. Okay.
I just sent you something in Discord, Dago.
So the slider is supposedly the entrance?
Yes. Yeah, this is, let's see if this is better. Hold on. This is,
there's another one here too that's even better. Hold on. Yeah, well, they may be the same.
Notice the lights are on.
Actually, this is pretty good. Hold on. Let me get rid of this other one. I don't know why. I think this is one of the first ones I had, and then this other one came out after the fact. So, yeah, this is better. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Okay, so here's the back of that. This actually gives you the whole thing, Joe. This would be Maddie's room right here. This is the top 3rd floor deck. This would be Kaylee's room right here. She had the doors to take her out to the balcony, okay? Down here are the sliders into the kitchen. You see can you still see my cursor? Okay.
Yes.
All right, on we go.
And he now has to rethink things. He continues on to the back where he sees even more lights on.
There goes the car driving around.
From the affidavit, we know he drove by the house 3 times in less than 5 minutes, probably trying to figure out what to do next. He finally decides to leave the area for a little while and observes the lights are on one last time in front as he drives off. Cameras show him leaving the neighborhood and exiting on Walenta Drive in this direction. It's uncertain which way he went from this point here. But we know that he is seen here at this location at 3:45 a.m., caught on a gas station security camera.
There it is.
Wondering if this could truly be a 2015 Elantra, I downloaded a known image of one with a similar angle of view. I then entered that into a 3D modeling software and added some lighting and then tilted the camera to get a similar angle. I then animated the image to be traveling at 40 miles per hour, giving motion blur, which ended with this result.
That would not show the inside of the house, does it?
Though
Like
not
I wanted.
scientific, we can see very close similarities that this is a 2015 Elantra. Back to the map. We see the suspect re-enters the neighborhood at 4:04 a.m.
How do we see the suspect?
Here's one coming, Dago, that's going to show the inside.
And slows down. Looking at the windows.
I like this though.
Now
This
off.
is
This
caters to
she did a
my,
good job.
Yeah, she did a great job on this one, and I'd like to be able to see this so that people can see how, like, you can visualize this happening. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, and the other one I sent, I think, is hers as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
He's excited. He knows everyone is finally in bed, but he wants to check the front one last time. As he drives down, he's filled with adrenaline, seeing the lights are all off. His brain short circuits for a second as he constantly tries to turn
brain
it
short
off,
circuits.
but he regains composure and drives on.
3-point turn.
That won't be the last time his
Caught
brain
on
short
camera making a
circuits.
3-point turn at the end of the street to return back to the residence.
Hold on, Paula. When we go back, I'll show you
He
again.
does his final drive to the back of the house.
See, right there's different.
Yeah.
Minutes
It actually
later,
went straight.
he entered the kitchen to the sliding glass door.
Yeah, they.
Okay, so the other one I sent is going to show you the better, more of the inside.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, this is one that I have too. This is actually the one I was trying to find, and it must be way back in. So, all right, let's back up here. Okay, so here is the cut of the house from the front, and I'll let her narrate from here. So now here's where the story got a little screwed up too. So don't get confused, guys. But initially, this is what they were saying was Bethany and Dylan were down here on this floor. Okay. Do you remember that, Salty?
What now?
Remember how they were saying that Dylan and Bethany were on the first floor together in separate bedrooms on the first floor? Yeah.
The cops said that at first, I think, in one of their early press conferences. But when the PCA come out, it said that they were in separate rooms. But at some point, those girls did end up in the same room, I think.
Yes.
Dylan went downstairs at some point.
I agree.
But you know, I'm just, I don't know why all that. The PCA says they were in separate rooms.
But you know what, though?
What?
If Dylan went downstairs, she had to pass through.
Exactly. The living room.
Yeah.
What did you see?
Thank you.
Something did go down in that living room. Oh, I need to find that video. Okay, go ahead. Hold up.
I'm having flashbacks to a year ago. Yes. Anyway, on we go. There. Yeah. See, she fixes it now. There's where Dylan actually was. That's good.
You sharing your screen?
Oh shit! I thought I did that. My apologies, guys. I'm so goofy with this. Hold on a second. Let me back it up. Let's do it again. One more time. All right, here we go again.
We're sleeping on the first floor. Since then, we've learned.
Can you guys hear her?
Yes.
Okay.
Dylan was sleeping here on the second floor, along with Xana and Ethan, located here. Kaylee and Madison were located here on the third floor. The dog was located on the third floor, and the room by itself. Let's move around and see through the walls into the kitchen, to the back slider, and take a look at the time frames. At 4:04 a.m., the suspect can be seen trying to park his car. At 4:09, approximately 5 minutes later, He enters the house through the back slider. At 4:18, he leaves the house after committing the crimes. At 4:20, he's caught on camera driving away at a high rate of speed. All of this only took 9 minutes. Let's watch what that looks like. The suspect enters through the back sliding door. He pauses at the stairs to look around and make sure no one's up. He then turns and goes upstairs. The first bedroom he stops at and opens the door, he sees no one there. He continues to the next bedroom. Here we know what happens. Downstairs, Dylan is sleeping. The noise from upstairs wakes her up. She thinks it's Kaylee playing with her dog. She gets up and goes to the door and looks out. She sees nothing there. The suspect then continues down the stairs about 3 minutes later. He then heads to Xana's room. Outside, there's a security camera picking up some whimpering, cries, and a thud at 4:17. We've learned that Xana was found on the floor, which might explain the thud. Dylan again hears something and looks outside her door. She sees the suspect. He walks right past her and leaves. At 10:06, Alec arrives at the kennels to find Maggie and Paul laying on the ground.
Okay, so that's pretty much what it is, Joe. I think there's if you go backwards, hold on a minute here. To this part, there's some questions about what may have happened. Oh, hold on, I gotta put it back up here. This part where
Goes to the door and looks out. She sees nothing there. The suspect then continues down the stairs about 3 minutes later. He then heads to Xana's room.
This is where we were talking earlier, where we think there's a little bit of a well, it's not as quick and easy as this, that something may have happened right here. Okay. He may have encountered, because there's a bathroom right here where my cursor is now.
Yep.
And it could have been Ethan could have been coming out of the bathroom, and nobody knows. I'm just saying that there's a thought that something different may have happened here, because like Salty said, when they show the photos, you can see the crime scene investigators right here bent over doing something in this area right here. Okay. And they were there for a period of time doing their investigation.
Now, you also got to take into account there was also a beer pong table set up. There was cups sitting everywhere. Were they just collecting DNA from that room?
It could have been, yeah.
Everything in that room. And there was literally never a body laying in that floor, never any blood. They're just literally in there collecting whatever's in that room. Which means if Dylan ran out of her room, down to Beth, say she saw bushy eyebrows coming at her, he disappears into the kitchen. Does she end up running down to Bethany's room at that point? If nothing happened in the living room, she didn't see anything.
That's true. Very true. Very.
Well, if he came down those stairs and ran into Xana, Dylan said she heard whimpering, crying, dog barking. She thought she heard Anna. She thought Xana and Ethan were having an argument. Then she hears somebody say, "Don't worry, I'm here to help you." That did not occur loudly, you wouldn't have heard it.
Yeah, that's my,
because Xana's room's literally around the corner down the hall.
And the other issue that I have too is whatever went on right here, she's right there underneath it. And I've always wondered, you had to have heard that a little bit louder if it was what it should have been, considering what the situation with, especially with Kaylee in there defending herself per se. Okay. And I've always questioned that, is all I'm saying. So
I either chalk her up to being one big old ass airhead or just, I don't know, naive party buzzed girl.
Or she was buzzed the hell out. Yes.
Yeah.
That was kind of where I went with it too. Why would she change bedrooms at 3 or 4 a.m.? Well, because
scared. She says
Yeah.
she was scared, so we don't know. I mean, if you the girls were communicating and they were
That's what I
asking
was
each
gonna
other,
say.
"Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Is Xana and Ethan fighting? I don't know. There's a strange guy that just left the house. I'm freaked out. I'm coming down there with you." Yeah, that could have happened.
Absolutely, 100%. Or, she said, "Come down here with me because I'm scared too." Whatever.
Yes. Oh my God, a car just left at a high rate of speed. What the hell's going on? Is that the guy that left out of the back? I don't know.
Yep.
Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, there's, I'd hate to be ugly about that girl if that's exactly what happened.
Sure. There's a few options with this. Truly, there really is. I believe she did too, Paul. I definitely believe that she went down there. Steve said he knows that they were communicating during the commission of what was going on, and
Well, the PCA says they were.
yeah,
They helped determine the timeline because they downloaded the roommates' phones. It clearly states that in the PCA.
yes.
So we
And
know for a fact those girls were communicating via text during the attacks.
mhm.
Did they realize there were attacks going on? Apparently, Bethany didn't hear anything like Dylan did. She might
Right.
have heard some noise, but yeah, it's a party stuff going. Was it somebody partying? I don't, Dylan was hearing more than Bethany was.
And she could have
And
been actually asleep and was woke up by Dylan with the phone or
well,
something.
I'd be curious to know what those text messages say to one another. And apparently they weren't. Here's the thing: if we're to believe they did a thorough investigation of this case, and
Mhm.
people, I know everybody has speculated about the cleanup, the 8-hour gap. Yeah, that's a horrible 8-hour gap. I agree. It's
Mhm.
uncalled for. But if there was a cleanup that occurred inside that home, have you not watched enough true crime shows, real legit ones about real cases that have already happened and been closed, and how cleanups occurred and how they can absolutely tell a cleanup occurred because of the chemicals involved, because of the smearing, the black light or the lights will show up when they go to look for the blood evidence and different things. I've watched this stuff on Forensic Files. You can literally light up the room and they can see the smears where the naked eye could never see them.
Of
And it's
course,
like,
yeah.
whoa. And they're legit cleanups that do happen. Ann Taylor would have seen that in the evidence that she was presented. She's
Of
got all
course.
the crime scene photos. They can't hold that from Ann. She'd be in court right now screaming, "Where's my crime scene photos, you dumbasses? Turn that shit over."
Right.
So she's got those crime scene photos. We also have video and photos of Ann and her team going inside that home. Ann did not want to keep the house. She didn't care. Her own order expired to keep that house standing, and she never filed to keep it beyond that. And I can pull up the document to show that. So, if there was a cleanup really that occurred, they would know, and Anne would know. And I have to take her word. So far, she's never said anything about a cleanup. Anne doesn't say, well, there appears to be issues at my crime scene.
Right.
Except had that sheath get there. We'll see how she goes with that. But she's never said, anything else about the other DNAs. She's never brought up the crime scene was cleaned. So, and believe me, Anne would see it. Her team of investigators would see it. Her forensic people would see it.
This is very true. Very true.
I mean, you got to be logical about it at some point and really think. I can't think that all the cops, Idaho State Police, FBI, and Ann Taylor and her whole entire team are too stupid to realize a cleanup occurred in that house by some teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
Sloppy ass teenage girls. That house was messy.
Yeah, it was. It was a damn mess
So
for sure.
I don't see them doing a thorough cleanup real quick and getting away with it.
Yeah, I got to agree.
Latent prints aren't always cleaned up. You do some research, hon. I've done the research. I've looked. They're not. If you look at legit crime scenes, they are not cleaned up. That's not what a latent print is.
They've done what she's probably talking about is people have done demos where they've done the whole thing and it comes out looking the same. Yes, that has happened. That doesn't mean that that's always what it is, though.
If there was a very light, things got a little bit out of hand. If there was a light print on the bottom of a shoe, it's not going to leave a big print on the ground. It's only going to leave a little bit. Did it dry over 8 hours into the wood? And when they ran the amino, there it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking logically. Does it prove anything? No, it's a fucking footprint. Who
Right, so
who does it belong to? How do we prove it? We
this
don't.
is sorry. This is
Go
walking
ahead.
around behind the house, Joe. Okay, up on the hill behind the house, on the ground, on the second floor level, right there. That's the door. Okay. And then up here is that, of course, that deck where the bedrooms were for the third floor. So this is second floor. Down here is the first floor. That is the door, the side of it they're saying was left open, that he went in and came back out without touching. Just to give you like a close-up realistic shot of it.
Let's see, what is that girl's name?
Yeah. Okay. And you can kind of see around back behind the house too from here. That's what another thing I was trying to show you, give you a little more luminol. Yes. All right. So right here, there's like Salty was saying, over here, there's like a pull in back here. You can't see it very well. But off of that road, you can kind of turn right and pull in back behind here. It's like a little pad. And you could park a couple, 2-3 cars back there. And then behind that, there's a stairwell that goes down and away, and it shows up right in front of the Bailey house. Are you still there, Joe?
He may have had his son may have come over.
Nope, I'm here. I'm here. I'm watching.
Dago, I'm about to send you something I want you to look at. Hold on.
Okay.
Did you
So it's always this came out recent. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Let me get into Discord and drop it. This is going to be from True Crime with Shane.
Mm-hmm.
This video, it's really interesting.
Wait, go back.
Go
Go back
ahead.
real quick. Go back.
Oh,
real
yeah,
quick.
yeah. Hold on. Sorry. I was just trying to give you like a close-up, realistic look.
No, and that's relevant to the last comment I had. Wasn't there blood dripping down the outside of the foundation
on the on the ground floor? Yeah, there was.
From Xana's bedroom.
Okay.
Xana's
No,
bedroom.
from the second floor. Technically, it's the second floor because the first floor is beneath the ground, part of it. So from Xana's bedroom floor, there was blood dripping down the side of the house.
This is Xana's bedroom right here that I'm circling.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Then hold on. And then that's the living room. That window there that's open, that's the living room. This is the front door.
That was where DoorDash would have delivered.
Yes.
Yeah, right there. Okay, and then hold on a second here. This is where they go around. Turn it. Okay, right here to the left. You can't see it, but it's all the way to the left is the foundation where the blood was dripping from, right above, right below Xana's room.
Okay.
I'll have to pull up the pictures. We've got pictures of all that too. We'll put them in a little.
I have them. A bunch of them. I was just trying to show you
Yeah, because I want to plan to try to get together stuff like that for the viewers who don't know the layout as well as we do.
Yeah,
like our
right.
Delphi crime scene, we still got to go over that with the community as well. So we need to do the same thing with this one if we're going to deep dive them and take a good look at them.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I'm just because I know that what is it? Okay, this new one you dropped me. I got you. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Is this? Oh, it's Chris McDonough. No, this is Shane. Okay.
True Crime with Shane.
Yep.
Now this came out recently. Remember when they unboarded the house and went back in?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us noticed what she's going to show you, and it's very interesting because they cut out a whole section of Maddie Mogan's wall.
Yeah, and
you can clearly see it. Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so there you go. That's the back window that I was showing you. Those are Maddie's boots, and that M stands for Maddie. That's her bedroom right there. So if you're scouting this house, you're gonna look at that knowing who's living there. M is for Maddie. There's her room. you know, it doesn't take much to figure out by walking in this house how to get to that room. So, so that's how clearly you could see that from back behind those apartment buildings.
Like, comment, and of course, subscribe. Become a part of the family. We would love to have you. If you are a returning subscriber, hey, boo. Happy to see you back rocking with me tonight. This will not be a long video. I just wanted to jump on here and share with you guys in case you haven't seen this. I mean, I hadn't seen it, but I came across something while I was snooping around, and it kind of further let me know that there had to have been a scuffle upstairs, perhaps with Kaylee Gonsalves. According to her father, we know that he said that his daughter did put up a fight. Now, we are all familiar with Maddie's room, Maddie Mogan's room, those infamous hot pink cowboy boots that was sitting in the windowsill. So the reason I want to show you these pictures first, excuse me, one of the reasons I want to show you the pictures first is because I want you to see the window and the angle, okay? And make sure that we are clear. We are looking inside of the window of Maddie Mogan's room. This is not Kaylee Gonsalves' room. This is Maddie Mogan's room. And this picture here happens to be after the pink boots were removed. This is after they had cleaned some things out. So, same room, same window. Now we are looking inside that room. This was my first time seeing inside that room. They had it all boarded up and everything, but you can clearly see that there's a huge piece of wall taken from
Right here. If you guys can't see it, look at my cursor. That's cut out drywall. It's gone.
And the section that's left right there to the left of it, there was a desk or a dressing table sitting there. We have a
Right.
picture of Maddie sitting at that table smiling. She had her makeup, her perfume, everything's there, her mirror. Then that section of wall that's cut out and her bedroom door was right there. So when the door opened inward, it would have opened so far and then left a whole area exposed, which is right there where that cutout's at.
Yeah.
Dolphin and I deep dove that and she did some amazing measurements one night. I don't think we slept that night when we saw this. We were like, holy
Dolphin's
shit.
good. There it is right there. Dolphin's
Yes.
good for that up all night stuff. She was great for that.
Oh yeah. We asked, oh my goodness.
And there's that M again. There's her sitting at the table, like Salty just said, looking in the mirror. So yeah, that right there is the table, and right to the right of that is that piece of that chunk where they took that piece of wall out.
And this is a very small room. Maddie, for some reason, she had the smallest room in the house, and there was literally only room for a single or twin size bed in that room. She didn't have a big full size bed, even or anything like that. It was a twin bed, and there was enough space between that bed and the wall for her to have there was a closet, and there was a nightstand between her bed and that closet. And we see the police carrying that out. It's all wrapped up in a tarp. We see the legs of it, but it didn't look like that. If there's evidence on that thing, blood and all, they sure carried it out in a strange way. So I don't know if it all took place at the end of the bed by that wall right there.
Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, Joe. There's no, there may have been or probably was. There absolutely was. Period. I agree with that. Period.
Oh no, yeah, no. You can't tell if there was a scuffle up there between somebody. I don't know who conducted it, but that's a large part of the wall to cut out. Now, why would you cut that part of the wall out?
Because it had DNA all over it.
Well, you can sample all that blood.
Well,
you got there's blood all throughout there. They did say there was also sections of floor cut out. This is part of the reason why they didn't think that. That's why they're in there doing all those Pharaoh scans, because they claimed that
it could have had an indentation.
It changed the acoustics in the house drastically There's apparently also parts of the floor that are cut out. There's
Mhm.
parts of Xana's room, I believe, that were cut out as well.
Mhm.
Because, but was it because of the blood? That they took these
Well,
things.
it could
Some
have been.
speculated, was there something left on the wall
That's what I mean. Like it could have been
written?
DNA. I was trying to be nice, but like other
Oh no, I
people.
was going to say it, dude. We've been talking about everything else in this case.
Well,
Could he
entrails.
have drawn something on that wall,
Well,
like
that's true
other
too.
serial killers, like the night? What's that dude out of California, the Night Stalker or whatever, drawing his pentagrams and stuff?
That
I
could have
mean,
been.
smiley face killer. Was there something? I don't know. I doubt it.
Yes, Terry. She was. She was there before they were. Any of them were.
Yeah, Maddie was living there first, Terry.
It was her. It was
Mhm.
her place, and they moved in with her. That's how that all went down. But which is weird too, because why would she take the smallest room? But maybe that's all she wanted.
Well,
Maybe
she may have
because she
liked
wanted.
that. She may have,
Yeah.
compact, and then Kaylee got the one up there right next to her when she moved in.
Mhm.
Somebody else could have had the other rooms, and Maddie's like, "No, this has already been my room. I'm keeping it." Instead of switching. I don't. Well, who
Right.
knows?
Also, that I've seen on other cases where like there's a body indentation into wall, like material, drywall or whatever. They may have
Yeah.
taken it for that reason. If there was to measure a body that goes into a wall or something, sometimes you know what I mean. They do. They
Yeah.
do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just don't think that's the only piece they took out of that house from what
Oh no,
from
because
what we've heard. Yeah.
well, we watched those. The Cowboys came in there.
Yeah.
I call them Cowboys, and they went out with the big bag. Well, what the hell do you need that big bag for when you're only in there? They cut a piece of wall out, stick it in the bag, and carry it out of the house. Like that's what I think was in that bag, truly.
Very
But
well could have, because it was, yeah.
that's just me.
We don't never know when it was done, but I don't think it was the only area of the home where something was cut away.
No way
From
in
what
hell.
we've been, understanding about the house's condition once they
Absolutely
got
Yep.
everything out.
I do agree. It's so sad to look at that too. God,
I know.
they were so full of life and just starting their lives and just God.
It goes, man, that one TikTok I did when I found that video of Ethan, and he loved to sing, and he's sitting there playing that guitar, and and this was months and months and months in, and these kids have been drugged through the mud at this point.
Yeah.
And he's playing that guitar, and the song is "I Just Want You to Know Who I Am." That stays with me all the time.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Because that's where Dylan's room was in the back, underneath at the bottom on the second floor, Paula. It was directly underneath Maddie's room, right below.
And she's confused because the Maddie's door, I'm sorry, Dylan's door, there's a window that her room is kind of funky. So even though her door was right there to the left of the stairwell on the second, when you enter it, her back bed, it still puts her beneath those other girls, both of them. She's really more or less under Kaylee, right? Because she heard Kaylee and the dog barking, playing. She thought it was them. She's really under Kaylee's room, but her window to her bedroom is under Maddie, so it's strange. We have to
Well,
get we got to get a better layout of the house to look out.
Yeah, there was a wall put in because when they put the addition in, that's probably why. But I get it. That's a Goo Goo Dolls song. It's called Name. I love that song. Let's see here. Go on now. Yeah, that's a big section of the wall because, like you just saw, that dressing table was the vanity was right there.
Oh shit! My cat just knocked the damn TV straight off into the floor. I hope it didn't bust. Y'all think it did?
You have carpeting or hardwood floor?
Carpet in this bedroom.
Oh, you'll be all right then. You should be all right.
It didn't bust it. I don't hardly watch this thing much anymore.
So appreciate your live stream. I'm driving to Florida to Virginia. Definitely help me keep me awake. We just oh, good thing, bub. Good. I'm glad we could help. It's good to have you here, though, Jeff. I appreciate your input on everything too.
Yeah, guys, we appreciate it. We'll talk about the case more, as it develops, and I really want to just go over the alibi thing and what we thought about it, compared to what they just had in court with the Maori and everything, and the Syray, and the court TV just did their piece. I kind of wanted to review that with all you guys and see what we all thought about what
Yeah.
they said compared to what we think we know and what the PCA said and things of that nature. And really his alibi statement, what it actually says.
Absolutely.
Because it said it was the 417, April 17th was the alibi date on the documents, but it says he liked to go to that park, but as the weather changed, and the school started, he was more into driving. Did she ever really clearly say he was at the park that night? That was a place he had liked to go. But as things changed, he began to drive more. But I know
Right.
Vinny said that she said he was at the park that night, but that's not exactly what she said.
Yeah.
Including Wawawee. Doesn't say he stopped there, but the drive, it was part of the drive.
Part of the
But
drive.
Anne never said, he apparently took some photos and was stargazing, but it never said he went to the park that night.
I'd really be curious to see the timestamps on his phone too. I really would. If there's pictures, timestamp, that's going to be big too. I think if they have them.
Well, if he legitimately took pictures that night, wouldn't this modern day and time, wouldn't it be easy to prove when they were taken?
Yes, ma'am. That's the
With
whole
these
point.
cell phones and all they can look up on them and tell you about our business. They're not going to be able to see if that's a fake photo or doctored photo. Yeah. Now,
Oh yeah.
you know
For
what I'm
sure.
saying? So if he legitimately did he take pictures that night? Absolutely, on that drive home, that long drive home.
Of course.
Could he have when you got out, and that did you stop and take a few photos and there you go.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
right, you guys, that's what Salty was telling you. This right here is what they took out. This big square right here, because that's the door to the room. So there's the square of wall that they took out. So you can tell how tiny this is. The bed was right here to the immediate, like towards my direction, downward. That's where the bed was.
And the notice of defendant's supplemental response to the state's alibi demand. Mr. Koberger moved to Pullman, Washington in June of 2022. As an avid runner and hiker, he explored many areas of the Palouse. Of note, he explored Wawawee Park in July of 22, and this became a favorite location. After the school year began, Mr. Koberger was busy with classes and work at Washington State University, and his running and hiking decreased but did not stop. Instead, his nighttime drives increased. This is supported by data from Mr. Koberger's phone showing him in the countryside late at night and or in the early morning on several occasions, which is exactly what they said he was doing, driving in the countryside that night. The phone data includes numerous photographs taken on several different late night evenings and early mornings, including in November, depicting the night sky. Mr. Koberger was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, as he often did to hike and run and see the moon and stars. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, west of Moscow, including Wawawee Park. Partial corroboration. Mr. Koberger intends to offer testimony of Psi-Ray and other radio frequency circulate attached, whatever, to show that Brian's mobile device was south of Pullman and west of Moscow on November 13th. That Koberger's mobile device did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman highway in the early morning hours of the 13th, thus could not be the vehicle captured on video. The Moscow-Pullman highway near the cannabis shop, Floyd's Cannabis. Additional information as to Koberger's whereabouts as the early morning hours progress, including additional analysis by Mr. Ray, will be provided once the state provides discovery. So there's no pinpoint location that she has stated. She's given us a good general countryside drive, including the area by Wawawee Park. And she says their cell phone data will show that, because Mr. Mowry was wrong when he put it in all that system. I think that's what she's going for.
Hey, Gina.
unless
Right.
she can absolutely prove what she just said. He was in the other direction.
Very true. Very true. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there's another section of the wall here that was taken out as well, up above that area by
Yeah.
looks actually salty. That looks like it might be like right above
Well,
or
it was a
right.
little square. Actually, there's also some so when they did the Pharaoh scan, because there was a mirror hanging there. Dolphin and I,
Yeah.
there's a big mirror. You would have had to move the mirror to get behind that wall. I don't see why they would do that. But if you look at the Pharaoh, when they opened the house back up and were doing their scans, they were putting little black pieces of paper in certain areas because their lasers were hitting different things. And
Mhm.
there's a little diagram they use. So I
Oh yeah,
don't
they showed
know.
it. It's right here, right there.
Yeah, that little tiny square right there.
So that shows spots on the walls that they needed to
Mhm.
get. Yeah, okay, I
And see
gotcha.
on the back, on the back of the house, it's taped there with the black and white on the back of the
Yeah,
house outside the
right here,
window.
right
Yep.
here.
So I don't know if that's the same thing or
Yeah.
is that a little tiny cutout as well?
No, that's showing probably the two cutouts that they had to do. That's why that's taped outside. Like, here we go. We got to get this one
No,
now.
those little pieces of paper are taped everywhere. It's part of the Pharaoh scanning stuff.
Oh, well then
It's like their lasers in and stuff. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but you see it all over if you go and
okay.
watch
Yeah,
what they're doing. Because I'm
those
very interested in those Pharaoh scans. I want to see that shit, and I was
those
watching those people. Go ahead, Joe.
those are scanning targets. That's what the scanners
Okay.
use to orient themselves and be able to adjust the images that you get with the real life measurements between targets.
Ah, I
So
didn't know.
so you create a 3D image from those scanners, but
Mhm.
to be able to relate that to real life measurements, you have to have targets between which targets you know the exact measurements between. So you
Mhm.
put targets on the wall, those get scanned in with your scans, and then in the computer you measure the distance between the center of the targets, and then you scale your finished product up or down to match those real life measurements, real world
Right.
measurements.
Right. I gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah, because they can be seen throughout the home and on the outside, and the front even has them. So
Yeah, those are scanner targets. When you see a four squares like that, white and black, those are targets, scanning
Okay.
targets.
There you go. I did not know that. I thought
yeah,
maybe they put those by the room that they had to cut wall sections out. It was just showing
mm-mm.
the but
Dolphin
that
and
makes
I think Firefly might have been there that night. We watched like it was years ago they did this, but it was the early Pharaoh scan stuff or 3D models when they were recreating, and it was an old crime scene that we went and checked out this stuff. We were like, "What is this stuff? Let's go learn what this is," and so we
Mhm.
did, and we found a video one night. We were like, "Damn, they recreated a whole entire crime scene, exactly what happened."
Yep.
Without the actual crime scene, but they did it all with these models. And that was years ago. So I'm really curious. And we know they used them in the Maddie Soto case. It clearly
Well, they
says
can
in her case files that the crime scene where her body was found, they came in
Mhm.
and Pharaoh scanned that area. So
Yeah,
this
I
is a
don't
new, yeah.
I don't know
Go
why
ahead.
they don't use them on every single crime scene, like of serious
Yeah.
crimes. Like
Oh,
Karen
everybody
Reed,
jumped on
can you
this,
imagine?
had their doubts. They didn't want to hear it. You know, we got to have that house. Like the people that we're growing. We're moving into the future. You got to
It's because
accept it at
people
some
don't
point.
understand it. That's why. People
Well,
don't
they didn't
understand.
want to.
It preserves the crime scene in
Yeah.
3D in perpetuity, like forever. You will always have that crime scene. If you scan it now,
And go back to it at another time too,
yes,
right? Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, you can go and you can look at any detail in that crime scene if you scan it correctly now.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like Karen Reed, they were out there in Massachusetts, like collecting those things, collecting that shit, and red Solo cups and
Mhm.
brown grocery bags. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yep.
just bring in a scanner.
Yep.
Seriously, just bring in a scanner.
That was a mess.
You'll
Yes.
have it done in an hour, and you'll have it preserved for the rest of eternity.
That's awesome. Yeah, things have changed so much. You could never.
Oh,
That's
JC, Cy Ray is the expert. Cy is his first name, and Ray is his last name. He's the defense witness expert that's going to dispute their own data, cell data. He used to work with the agencies, and he used to work for prosecutions a lot. Now he works for defense attorneys. And there have been an incident where his methods weren't allowed in court before.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the past. Now things changed. Ann's got confidence in him. So we'll see what he brings to the table, how convincing he is compared to Nick Balance.
Right. I thought you were in here when we did the hearing with him in it, JC. Maybe not. I thought you were.
And he's got a podcast too, guys. Him and his wife.
Yeah.
Cy does. Cy's into his true crime.
Yes, he is.
TikTok,
All right.
Tony.
Oh no, you didn't just drop that. No,
I
you
did.
didn't.
I got messaged. Well, never mind. That's a whole other story. TikTok,
is.
Tony. I might have been on his hit list. I don't know for sure. Name Salty was
Really?
mentioned. Yeah, probably because he got upset about my TikToks. I got a big my TikTok account's way different. I do documentary type videos, little news clips and stuff. People love it. It's no bullshit. My Ellen Greenberg is like 143,000 views or some shit. But yeah, I do take. Oh yeah, I do. My TikTok is pretty banging. I had to calm them down the other day. I got a warning from the TikTok. There might be bullying going on. They were all going off about Ellen Greenberg. I'm like, y'all calm down, be nice. They were being nice, but not at the shade they were throwing against what's going on over there. But I was like, calm down, everybody. I'm getting a warning from the TikTok. I don't mess around. I don't go live on TikTok. They try to entice me all the time. Every time I get on my TikTok, go live. No. Are you weird? I'm not doing it. I don't even understand how that works over there. But
I've never done it over there yet. I haven't even attempted.
I have no desire. I
have a TikTok and it's linked to this, and we put stuff on it, but it's just still photos and stuff of what we're doing. But I've never done a show over there because I just
I've done it. I throw shade at certain players in true crime there's only 1, 2 besides Tony that I do it to. But
right,
Tony's TikTok. Tony, you fair game when you come up running your mouth.
That's right. That's right.
He throws shade on a case and hurt the case of a baby that's missing.
Did he really?
Well.
Oh, no. Got you. Sorry.
They hurt Sebastian's case. I'm sorry. Y'all go do what you want and argue about your dumb shit over there. I don't care. But when you hurt a case, that's different to me.
No. I just thought you meant there was a new case with a baby, and I went, oh no.
No. I meant, I was just being smart ass at that point. But
I got you.
So I don't know. He might have got mad about my TikToks. I don't know. One of them's pinned so everybody can see it.
I think everybody's on Tony's list at this point, and I don't really care, truly.
Yeah, I don't pay that dude no mind.
No, it ain't worth the time.
No.
Haters gonna hate.
So what do you think? What do you think so far, Mr. Joe? Anything at all, or?
Yeah, I can't wait to see more evidence in this.
Yes, I agree.
I can't see what the defense has to bring. I can't wait to see what the state has to bring.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure.
Definitely.
If they have more, because they're, is that sheath going to be enough? Especially if she can find a way to get it suppressed, and how would she accomplish that? What
it might be on how it could. The only way I could see that being suppressed is if there's something she has on how the DNA was obtained off of the sheath. That's the only thing I can think of that would even remotely have that.
Well, we can't get away from, Friday filers stating in the document, or, could it have been planted? But I was like, hey, you've been watching social media. Are you using, is that just a defense ploy word salad thing, or are you really going to use that in the future? You know what I mean? Right. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. But if you're going to go that far, I'm sure him and Ann have had some discussions about that.
Mm-hmm.
Is Ann going to put her reputation on the line to say that the guys you work with all the time planted that sheath?
I mean, I can't imagine her doing something like that. Especially considering where she's been put at this point as far as her job, and unless she's competent, and Ann is when Ann's competent, she's competent. So if she
would have to be 100% confident she thought that was the case. Otherwise, she's going to attack the chain of evidence, custody thing on it, or the DNA on it. Are you all that? So it's going to be
Oh, yeah.
interesting to see how she does decide to go after that sheathed evidence.
Absolutely, I agree.
So, but I know it's getting late, Dago. You're probably getting tired. I'm getting a little tired. It's been a long damn day.
I'm wired but tired at the same time.
I know it's weird, and it's this full moon energy, dude. It's this blue super moon.
Coffee in the moon and whatever else is going on. I mean, I could probably go on for longer, but I'm sure everybody else is exhausted. So
I gotta get up early. So,
I get it.
Lord,
I get it.
I
No,
hate
it's all-
it. I don't like it. I don't want to do anything tomorrow, and I think I got to. So I really didn't want to. All day I'm telling myself, don't do anything tomorrow. Just stay home.
Mhm. Yep. Absolutely.
Ugh. But
yeah, I appreciate you having me over there again. and we ended up here, and that's okay. It turned out to be a good show. We got a good pool people in here. That's good. And I really enjoyed the conversation about the alibi. That was especially with Joe involved in it. I enjoy that a lot. I like having these good conversations about it because you got to remember, guys, we weren't able to do this a year and a half ago, and now we can. And I love that.
And things are and before, like you, even as far as you've been in this case, you just now really realizing that drive and what could have taken place, out
for
there.
real. I never saw that flat-landed area, and it's like, holy shit, that's perfect for that, So yeah,
Well,
I did not
yeah,
see that.
and I don't know how it was missed for so long by I don't know what people were looking at other than he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He didn't do it. Didn't do it. So therefore, we're not going to look at any of that. And I felt that way when Linda Lane footage was being viewed, when everybody kept focusing on everything but that car. I couldn't figure out why. It's just a car. Why not look at that too and say, well, who was that person? Because it was a white sedan, and
because all anybody wanted to look at was what they thought were people getting in and out of vehicles and running back and forth. That's all that mattered at that point. And
there was a one guy walking in that one random what I called running man that could have been running from, I better get my ass to the house before the old lady wakes up and realizes I ain't there.
Yeah.
Or was he running to work? Was he running to the truck because it was cold and I want to get in there and crank that bitch up and let it get, or I'm going to meet daddy, we're going hunting.
And then we had to explain to everybody that the people that are saying, I heard this and I heard that, and no, you didn't. You couldn't have. What you're hearing is right by that camera, which is right here.
So many people heard so many things. They heard the entire murder go down on that damn Linda Lane footage.
That blew my mind. You can't, guys. You couldn't. Jeff was here and like, listen, guys, no.
Well, you know what? We all those of us who were like, okay, we looked at it right along with, and we were like, no. So why can't our side also be looked at and see,
Agreed.
so I gave all of that a fair chance. All the alternate theories, all the things, while I was also looking at all of these things.
Right.
I couldn't just brush all this other stuff away. I had to look at all of it, and I thought everybody else was, and I don't know if they were.
Well, some people were, some people weren't. That's
the
best way to look at it, truly, because it's
and
obvious.
this is why we have trials in America, because we can't just get a probable cause and everybody say, oh my God, you're guilty or you're innocent, done deal, we're done here.
No,
This is why we have a trial. And this is why a lot of this stuff stays under seal. And we got to remember, it's not just the prosecution that asked, Anne is demanded to seal this stuff too. There's stuff she don't want us to see and know about yet that could be damning toward her client. You got to remember that. It's not all, no matter what she comes out. Delphi's telling me a lot too. Does that mean I absolutely believe all of it?
Well,
at this point, that case is just like this one. I can't say Richard Allen's not guilty. Can't say that he is either. I see more probable cause for Kohberger right now than I do for Richard Allen.
Right, and you can look at these cases,
probable cause, not
and see these things and make a speculation, sure, but you can't make a decision until we have the proof. That's the problem.
No, I'm not. I mean, I can feel some kind of way about any of these cases, but that's just my feelings, right? And I try not to let my feelings get in my way of a criminal case. They're my personal feels.
At this point, the one thing I have to say is that I can't understand how somebody can come to a 100% decision on and don't take this offensively, anybody, please. I don't see how any one person can make a decision and say, I know for 100% fact that he's guilty or he's innocent.
Yeah.
How? Anybody? How? Because you can't. There's no possible way that you could, because you haven't seen everything. So again,
the only way you could is if you were there, and you weren't there.
It.
So don't throw that shade at me. Don't give me that crap that you know for a fact.
Yes.
So and so is definitely guilty. So and so definitely isn't.
So
and so will testify to this. So and so will testify to that. No,
we don't know, and we've been screaming that now for months. There was lots of people. I was in that boat for a little while with, I'll listen to this. Okay, I can listen. I can see that. I can see this. I can get this. I can get that. And then it went too far, and I went, no, wait, stop, step back, breathe through everything you can, and stay still for a minute. No, it's not possible, and that's where I've been. You can't. It's just not possible, folks.
It's really not. We have not seen everything or what they actually have and don't have. So all we can do is speculate about what they have. But I just think it's, it's just for me personally, I can never decide until I get to court.
That's it. That's why that, like you just
And
said.
thank God we're getting cameras in this court case here.
Oh my God! Don't say it out loud, because God forbid if they.
No, they're not. Brian Koberger wants them. Ann wants them. The judge is fine with them.
Isn't his judge's name Judge? Is he Judge?
Yes.
Judge?
Yeah, John
Judge. Judge John Judge.
That's awesome.
I know it is, isn't it?
Yep.
And a lot of people.
I thought it was a joke.
And there are so many people that just can't stand him.
Right.
But I know.
He's been very fair. Very fair.
He's like everything Ann's asked for, he's given her. So
Totally fair.
I don't understand why people don't like him and say he's this and that. Like only because you have a certain feeling, I guess, about the case. But
I think people have watched his faces and they think that means something. I think, I think the man is just an easygoing, good-spirited person, and that's why he looks like he does. And he tries to be fair as fair as he can, because he's very calm. He's very collected, and he's very pleasant. Like, he gives off a pleasant vibe to me. So I don't get that either. I'm like,
he even tells Ann, just to be clear, and do you want me to sign these subpoenas today? She's like, yes. Yeah. He's like, I'll sign them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very fair in my opinion, guys. I have not one time seen him say or do anything that comes off as being unfair to me at all.
Yeah. You want unfair, you go look at Judge Gull.
Yes.
That's an understatement. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that
she's over there denying hearings on motions. In Brian Koberger's case, he's getting every motion heard.
She hasn't even looked at most of the motions. She just says no before they even get put out there. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you fairly look at other cases and the way they are presented and talked about, you have to do the same thing here. If I give the defense the benefit of the doubt over in Delphi, I do it with Ann, but I like I said, I've always told Dago, I go by what she says in her filings. Yeah. She can say what she wants in that courtroom, but she needs to back it up with a court filing, put it on the record also there as well. And so I watch the things that they do come out, and I'm very curious to see because if this guy is innocent, she's going to prove it, or close to, you know what I mean?
Of all people, if he is innocent, she'll be able to prove that, I think. I have faith in her, period. That's all I'm saying. If he's guilty, then she won't be able to prove that he's innocent, because he's guilty, in my opinion. That's
she'll continue to attack the evidence, and
yeah.
How she, instead of coming out and saying my guy wasn't there, no way, and be done with it, or not guilty. But that's not what has happened. We are going to stand silent, just like my other murder case that I just got. Lori Vallow stood silent. So that's 3. Is this an Idaho thing? I think it is.
It seems to
I don't
be
think
her.
It meant. Yeah, everybody thought that really was a huge deal. In Brian Koberger's case, he stood silent. And then I started looking into it and I realized it wasn't, but nobody wants to listen. And now we've been able to present Ann's newest client, his really bad guy. And what did he do the other day? Standing right there, Ann said he's going to stand silent.
Yeah, he's really bad too. Really bad. Absolutely. So we shall see. We shall see.
Here's an interesting take. And once I mention it to you, you're not going to be able to unsee it.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, boy.
Judge reminds me of the dad from Home Alone. John Hurt. So next time you see him, you're going to think that's the dad from Home Alone.
Oh my gosh.
God, I'm already doing it, Joe. Jeez, I can see that. Jesus. He's just that like laid back, you know.
Right.
Yes. That's
Paula,
hilarious.
Paula, you're cracking me up.
That's hilarious. Paula said Judge Gall is an abomination in the sight of God. Yeah, well, you know what though, Paula, we may come to find out in that case that she had good reasoning behind this. We never know. I'm not
I
trying to say
know. God, I know. But playing devil's advocate, right?
That's all I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. I believe me, I highly disagree with everything she's done, but down in the end of it, there may be something that comes out where she had a really good reason to do this, and then everybody will go, "Oh shit, okay," you know what I mean? So,
well, you know, if they investigated Klein thoroughly, no charges, can't tie him to my crime scene. All these Odinists, there was a lot, can't tie them to the crime scene. They're cleared. All got alibis, this and that. So what do you have against Richard Allen? An unspent bullet and these videos that said he was there and all this. So, you know, did they really thoroughly clear them? I don't know.
And the confessions.
The confessions. Exactly. So now I have to think there's a good possibility Rick Allen is the guy, but do they got enough evidence against him? And where's his backstory?
How do you truly feel about those confessions, Joe? I'm just curious.
The bottom line for me in that is that you are not supposed to be in solitary confinement per Indiana Department of Correction standards, their very own standards. You're not supposed to be in solitary for anything more than 30 days.
Right.
He was in solitary for 4 months before he started confessing.
120 days, I think it was, or
no, more than that. More than that.
Yeah.
It was 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months before the confessions. Yeah.
Yes. So he was not in his right mind.
And remember, there were guards wearing Odin patches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he was not in his right mind, and that's a viable argument for defense. We'll see how Judge Gold rolls on that.
You know, I think that it really got, for me, really, when I found out that legit those guards were wearing those patches, that to me, that was unbelievable.
That was a wow moment. Yes, I am right there with you.
It made it just seem really
unreal.
Like what?
That wasn't even discovered under Rosie and Baldwin. That was under the alternate
lawyers
that were
Labredo.
Rosie and Baldwin.
And Labredo, and he was completely appalled. His interview really, really got to me. It really
did me too.
And
I've seen people discount the hell out of it for no legit reason, other than prosecutors got the guy.
You could look at this man's face when he was describing things and talking about things, and you could actually, at least in my opinion, you could see a form of fear in what he was talking about. I'm not bullshitting you guys with that either. That interview really, really I was like, damn, really?
Paula, there was a 60 to 61 confessions. That's 61. A lot. 61. And never a formal confession.
No,
these were
statements
to his wife over the phone, statements to other prison guards. His companion, they would assign a companion because he was on suicide watch. Those guys supposedly got confessed to.
The warden, he wrote a letter to the warden.
Yeah,
the chaplain, the prison chaplain. He confessed to the prison chaplain.
And the prosecution claims that there were only things the killer would know that were stated, but there were also things stated that didn't even happen.
Mm-hmm.
Girls weren't shot in the back, like one of the confessions claim. Yeah, one confession allegedly claims I shot him in the back, but they weren't shot. So we
And that goes back to what Joe said, that he was fabricating, his mind was fabricating things that never existed because he was losing his mind. Okay. In
or
my
was he
opinion.
being forced to say
Or was
certain
he being
things?
forced to say, yeah, that was the next
And
conversation.
so we are waiting to see if they throw the confessions out or some of them out, or don't know
Well,
how
they
she would
stated
determine which ones to keep in and which ones to leave out. Did they come
that's
with this? Did they come with specific ones they wanted left out, or was it all of them?
That's a good question because most of that hearing was on Wednesday, which I wasn't there for.
Yeah.
I was only there on Thursday, which
Mhm.
were the closing arguments.
And we
But
don't have cameras or audio, so we don't know
no,
what happened. Just people
no,
who were there,
no.
their accounts of what happened.
Hopefully the transcripts will be released soon. But
Oh my
Yes.
God. Yeah.
my feeling about Judge Goal, and this is just a gut feeling and based not in reality at all, is that she will throw out the confessions to his psychiatrist / psychologist, whoever that was,
Mhm.
because that's a client or a doctor-patient
Doctor patient
privilege,
privilege.
Voila.
Yeah.
right? But everything else, I think she's going to let in. I think she's going to let the
Yeah.
other 50 confessions in, or however many there are.
Yeah. She
That's
probably
just,
will.
yeah, I believe so.
That makes sense. It does.
Which
I'm
is,
definitely curious. I'm really curious to see those transcripts though. Like I really am.
well, the defense applied to get the transcripts, so they're hopefully will, get them.
You don't
They'll
think that
get
she
them.
have anything withheld within those, do you?
No, unless they go and fudge the court reporter's recording of the
No, I
hearing.
mean the gallery was open to the public, so I can't
Yeah.
imagine that they would
I just making
seal
sure.
anything. No, I can't imagine they would
You don't surprise me if things
seal
happen.
anything. Yeah,
Just wondering.
I mean, we learned a lot of new stuff, but it's out there now. It's out
Yeah,
there.
definitely
And
did.
that's true. We did learn some new things that we didn't really know before, for sure.
I still can't get past the point where, what was it you said that they didn't search, or not, you didn't say that, but that one thing where they didn't search the two houses. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah,
That was kind of weird, but
yeah.
that stuck
They
with
would
me.
question them and things and talk to them, but didn't
Didn't
search their
any of
houses when there were other searches conducted. Yeah.
even people that didn't have any reason to search. So that was kind of mind blowing to me too.
Didn't even ask Brad Holder to search his phone.
No, didn't. And no. And Westfall over there pulling a Stearns. Oh, I reset my phone or whatever it was. Got a new one. Oh, okay. No big deal.
Where's the old one then? Oh
Well,
no.
Holman said people do that. They erase stuff or get new phones. He didn't think it was a big deal.
Right.
Why not? That wasn't a red flag. I don't know. Just there's a lot of there's a lot of we have a certain questions over here in Idaho. We have way different types over here in Delphi, and when you start presenting other cases and look at other things, you see, the differences. And I tried to get people to come look at Delphi with me for a long, long time, but they couldn't stay out of Idaho. We're looking at random stuff that instead of the nuts and bolts of the case. But so I'm glad we are now. And still, like I said, I'm neutral. I don't know.
We will find out. Well, we will definitely find out here sooner in Delphi what's going on than we will in Idaho. So we'll have that to keep us busy for a while.
Yeah, the Delphi trial is supposed to start at the end of the year.
Yep.
I will be at the hearing on the 23rd.
And don't we have a Coatberger hearing like in 10 days? 30th? Is it the 30th?
Well, we have one.
Let me see. I got the thing right here. Let me pull it up.
Well, we have a hearing in Delphi on Friday in Delphi.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh,
Okay,
that's right.
good.
Okay. We'll have to do a recap show Friday night.
Yes, absolutely.
Joe, put it on the calendar.
Yep. And then we have Sarah Boone Friday as well, and Sarah Boone on the 3rd. And
here, I'm pulling up the Coburger schedule right now. Let me scroll to the bottom. Let me get there.
I don't think I have. Did I go that far ahead on my calendar? I did. Where the hell is it? Oh shit. I can't find it, damn it.
Good Lord, this case been going on for a hot minute. Let me scroll. I'm still scrolling. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
They've already got, let's see, oh, they got a lot of shit scheduled out. I haven't looked this in a while. Okay.
I wrote in my notes.
29th. Well, the 29th, we have the motion of venue at 9 a.m. in person. And then November 7th, there's a motion hearing scheduled. Challenge of death penalty. Whoa.
They're trying to get that
February
taken off the
6th
table.
of 2025, motion to suppress, but it doesn't say what it is. 3/27 of 2025, motion in limine, doesn't say what it is. For April 2nd, a hearing is scheduled. Part of it's closed and sealed. Jury questionnaires, okay? And then April 3rd, pretrial conference. June 2nd, trial dates.
There you go.
Motion to suppress February of 2025. Is that the sheath? Gotta be, because you said that was coming.
Yeah, that's probably.
And then we got a motion in limine. Okay. Well. And there may be some others thrown into the schedule in between all that, but that's what they've got scheduled out so far.
They make them sometimes when they have these hearings, they throw other motion hearings in there too. So yes, I wouldn't be surprised.
So yeah, our next one coming up is the 29th. So
well, the 23rd. For the 29th for this one, but for Delphi the 23rd.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about Idaho. Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, Joe, we'll have to be able to get together on Friday night, maybe.
Yep.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll plan it out. We'll go. I'm gonna let you host it. That way we don't have no issues.
It's okay. Either way. I'm excited. So be ready, guys. Friday night, pending whatever time Joe's available, of course, we will have another show on Delphi.
Awesome.
Sounds like
Awesome.
a plan. Joe is our cameras in the courtroom.
Right. With my sloppy notes.
I know you got a pretty good recall on some things that I was surprised about. I'll give you that much. I don't think you even had notes to recall some of that stuff. So that's good stuff. I'm glad for that. You got a good memory.
No, I appreciate you being there and coming back and sharing with us what you do know, because it's so important since we can't be in there with you guys. So we do appreciate it.
That is very awesome. More than appreciate. So
yeah.
Grateful.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go. Yeah.
It's 2 a.m. here. It's CP time, as my granddaughter calls it. CP time. So I am a little burnt too. Joe, thank you again for this, and Salty, thank you for having me do this. I should say.
Thank you for catching our backs.
Oh, anytime, always, every time. Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you guys so very much and everything that you guys do. So thank you for having me as part of it. That means a lot.
Oh yeah.
And we will, like you guys heard, Friday night we'll be getting together to do something else on Delphi. I will be here tomorrow, early afternoon, I believe, as long as things go well.
What hearing are we having in Delphi? We can also put together some stuff to kind of go over what they're going to be talking about.
This could be as simple as a status update. In other words, both parties just simply say we are on track to continue for a trial in October or whatever the date is that they're scheduled for trial.
We can follow Twitter and see if there's anything thrown up, right?
Right. So there's going to be two parts to the hearings. The first part is going to be closed to the public, and we don't know how long that's going to last. It could last 40 minutes, it could last 4 hours, and we could not get to see anything until noon, or we could see something at 9:30. We don't know. So we just have to sit in the courtroom and wait till they open it up to the public. But the status hearing, I think, is the primary part of it. But she could actually issue some rulings on motions that were filed that were heard at the beginning of August.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's still yet to rule on some of the things from the 3-day hearings. So
she hasn't ruled on anything from the 3-day hearings.
No, except moving him to Cass County.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Right.
The safekeeping order was revoked, and that's basically all that's been decided. at this point.
Yeah.
And the Indiana Department of Corrections website puts him in the Carroll County jail system as of now. Carroll County, not Cass County.
Didn't they have some kind of a confusing thing going on with that or something the other day?
Well, just because he was in Cass County for the hearings before the safekeeping order was revoked. So for a while he was shown in Cass County, but she absolutely remanded him to the custody of the Carroll County Sheriff's Department.
Yes, she did do that
on August 1st. I was there when she did that, and I heard that very clearly.
All righty then. Good stuff. Good stuff. And Molly, I'll do the paranormal stuff during the day. That'll be my Friday.
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Oh, no. This is important. So Friday we'll do it during the day, and then Friday night we'll do the Delphi. So that'll work out both ways. Either way, I'm perfect. I already have something set up anyway, or an idea for what I'm going to do. So we'll be good. Sounds like a plan. It'll be Friday during the Paranormal Friday, not Friday night. So we're still having it. Don't worry.
And I'll try and give you a heads up as soon as I can about the importance and magnitude of whatever hearings we have on Friday.
Yeah. Awesome. Speaking of which, I got to get on Discord with you, Joe. That way we can communicate if we need to.
You can DM. All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for coming in and listening. Joe, thanks for coming on. Dago, thank you, of course, for everything. I do appreciate it. I appreciate the conversation.
Yes, always great conversations.
Pleasure to be here.
All right,
guys.
Have a good night, guys.
Yes, you both have a wonderful night. Thank you again.
Ciao. Peace out.
Take care. And everybody in the chat, once again, amazing show. I appreciate everybody's interaction. I appreciate you guys understanding that we had to jump from there to here again, and being here for it. You guys are amazing. I want to thank the Blue Crew for everything you guys do. You guys always keep it real. I appreciate that so very much. Couldn't do it without you at all. So God bless. You guys are amazing. Everybody in chat again. Don't forget, guys, and yes, so nobody's confused, we'll be doing Paranormal Fridays during the day on Friday, and Friday night we'll have the show in regards to the Delphi hearing for that day, because it is important that we keep that caught up. Other than that, guys, please don't forget to love yourselves and love each other, and don't change a thing about yourselves, because you guys are amazing, and that is why we are here and why I do what I do. Much love to each and every one of you. God bless and good night. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Down the shadows, bringing wrongs to right. Digging deep in the data facts, sharp as a knife. With every single story, he's fighting for a life. A voice for the voiceless, he won't stay quiet. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. From the shadows he rises, streaming loud and clear. Cracking cases open, hearts filled with fear. These channels are beacon in a world gone wrong. He guides us through the chaos, a soldier so strong. The clicks and the lights, they follow his lead. With every new case, he plants a new seed. Sharing their stories, giving hope where it fades. Daniel's a warrior through the trials he waits. In a world of silence, he shouts out their names. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. From the shadows he rises, streaming loud and clear. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Truth out, answering the call. For every soul forgotten, he's here to stand tall. Tangle the genuine angles got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story he pulls